Hi, everyone. Tony from Hack the Movies here, and we finally made it to X-Men The Last Stand. There were many movies after this. Is it really a big letdown? Is it underrated? Or is it just a little bit excessive? Let's find out on today's episode of Hack the Movies. Hello, Monica.
Hi, Tony.
I'm so happy we're here talking about X-Men, although it is a little sad. We were supposed to do this with Crystal. You know, a movie about an evil ginger. I thought, this is prime Crystal territory. She would relate a lot to this character.
So her not showing up is in character with being evil.
Yes. No, she died today.
Crystal?
Yeah, she died. We were driving by the dam by my house. You all, know about the dam by my house.
Yeah, that big one.
Yeah, the big dam. We were just, admiring it, and then the dam started cracking, and it was about to flood.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't make it. She drowned.
How come you're fine?
Well, I got in my car and I started driving. She said, "Tony, wait for me." And I said, "There's not enough room." And then she said, "But Tony, you have a 4-door hatchback sedan. There's plenty of room." And then I said,
"You guys talked a lot."
She was running. She was running as I was driving. I said, "Crystal, you don't understand. What if I see a cool couch on my way home? I need the space." And then she said, "But what about your passenger seat?" And I said, "Well, what if I stop in at a bar and I meet a lady? I'll need that passenger seat for later. You're just going to have to deal." And then she said, "Wah!" because she drowned and died.
Oh.
Yeah, so. Rest in peace, Crystal, I guess. Really would have loved to have her here, but she is no longer with us. But, unlike Cyclops in this movie, I can't cry about this all day long. I got work to do. Let's talk about X-Men The Last Stand. Monica, this is your first X-Men episode. I know you're a big X-Men fan.
I absolutely loved the first X-Men movie when I was younger.
It's a good one.
I watched that over and over and over. I even watched it with commentary. I think that's one of the only movies I've ever watched with commentary.
Really?
For some reason.
Well, I got good news for you. Hold on.
Oh.
I'm going to give you this X-Men tape signed by me.
Aww.
I keep meaning to give it to a fan at a convention, and then I keep forgetting it's in there, and I just remembered it was there.
Thank you.
I'm keeping my X-Men DVD signed by Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth, but you can have that tape of a movie I reviewed signed by me. So you love the X-Men movie. What did you like about that one?
Well, Rogue is one of my favorite characters.
Oh, I picked the best movie to have you review Rogue.
I know.
Don't worry, I'll bring you...
the other...
I was going to say, I'll bring you back for Days of Future Past, the theatrical cut.
Yeah. That one, really.
I do like the Rogue character, and I talked about it in that episode. That was a good character to, be introduced to the X-Men in that universe. The first one still really holds up, and the second one, even better.
Yeah, the second one was fun.
You don't think it's better?
I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm going to be honest. I don't want to say if it's better or not.
Oh, okay. I reviewed it recently. I still love the first two are solid. Yeah. I love both of them. I feel like everyone was hyped for a third one, especially with the cliffhanger with the Phoenix. Jean, much like Crystal, got drowned by that dam, and then she was underneath as a Phoenix.
Oh, Crystal's a Phoenix?
No, Crystal will not be coming back. Crystal's
That's one way to tell her.
Crystal is in hell.
Crystal, I'm sorry.
She can't hear you. She can't hear the voice of the righteous. She is with the sinners. And
listen, we've done all the Hellraiser movies. I feel like we have some conduit there.
She is a servant of the desolate one now, okay? But we can't talk about Crystal all day long. We gotta get it next.
No, this episode's only gonna be about Crystal.
So yeah. We were all pumped for X-Men 3. We wanted to see where it would go. All the actors were getting more popular at this point.
And this was the big series before the Avengers came through. So this was our first big
it's
superhero movie to get excited. Well, not really, but the first. Help me out with these words.
Yeah, the first franchise. It was this and Spider-Man. They were both.
But this one was also gearing up for that battle.
Yes.
The big good versus bad.
Yes. And Spider-Man kind of was too with the whole Harry Osborn thing. But those two series were at the height of the superhero genre. The X-Men X-Men 1 and 2 and Spider-Man 1 and 2 are like some of the best superhero films, even to this day.
Yeah, I love Spider-Man.
And then they both had disappointing third entries. But yeah, we were all pumped. And back in this is 2006, so a year or two before that, we were all saying Bryan Singer can do no wrong. We were all Bryan Singer fans back when you were allowed to be a Bryan Singer fan. I haven't followed up on any of that stuff recently. Has he gotten into any new shenanigans or?
Not that I know of, but I also don't want my Google search history to be Bryan Singer. So.
Yeah, so we were all excited, and then he made the decision, which is funny because Richard Donner and his wife, who did the old Superman movies, they were still producing these X-Men movies, and instead he was like, I'm gonna leave the X-Men movies and pay tribute to you, Richard, by making Superman Returns for a completely different studio and everything. And I have a review of Superman Returns already. I did that with Frank. That was rough. It's like, wait, you're not finishing the trilogy? I'm like, but you're so good. Why would you leave the trilogy? Why would you fumble it right there? That was a letdown.
Yeah, especially since he also took James Marsden with him.
Yeah. James Marsden, that was like the worst kept secret. Like, even when the trailers came out, everyone was like, oh, well, Cyclops is dying. Like, this is not even like, why are we even teasing it? You might as well have the trailer open up with Cyclops died.
Yeah.
So that was rough, but we still had hope. We were like, look, Nightcrawler's going to get up to a lot of shenanigans in X-Men 3. He didn't come back.
No, they replaced him with another blue dude.
Yes, which is fine. But Nightcrawler was like the standout character of the previous film.
Yeah.
So for years there were rumors about why he didn't come back, and they were like, oh, he was a prima donna, he didn't want to do it, blah blah blah. And then I think around the time of X-Men Apocalypse, when they cast a new Nightcrawler, people were asking him again, and I think he went to Twitter and he said, hey, I just want to clear the air here. The only reason I never came back as Nightcrawler is because I was never asked to. And I'm like, what happened behind the scenes? I don't know. So yeah, that was a weird character to leave. They don't even mention him at all. And it's not like...
They don't mention a lot in this movie.
There's a lot they kind of left out. And it's not like they did it out of respect because he died, because he didn't. I mean, that's what they did with the Joker in The Dark Knight Rises. That movie I was in. You knew about that, right?
Yeah, I know a lot about that.
Oh, okay, just making sure. Yeah, so that was weird that they don't even have like a line of dialogue where they're like, oh, he went back to Munich. He's hanging out there now.
He's on a secret mission for us.
He's on a very secret mission. He's fighting on Mojo World. Mojo World. Yeah, he's an X-Men character. He's that alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nightcrawler's there. He's hanging out there.
Speaking of, it's X-Men 97 has Mojo.
Oh, he came back?
Yeah, there's an episode with him.
I'm rewatching.
Unless I'm messing up the character, but I'm pretty sure it was Mojo.
Really big, fat, greenish yellow guy, lives in space, does TV shows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Mojo. I've been rewatching the first 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I need to finish it. I need to get up to that terrible 5th season where they change the animation style and it looked like garbage, and then I'll start 97.
Okay.
Yeah, so Hugh Jackman came back. There was like a rumor that Halle Berry was not going to come back because I don't think she got along with Bryan Singer. She eventually worked with him again in Days of Future Past, but I don't think they got along on the set of X-Men 2. But she came back. Apparently Catwoman didn't work out for her. So she's like, yeah, I guess I'll be Storm again. They gave her a bigger part, which I appreciate. I mean, it's still kind of like nothing, but they gave her something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into it a little more.
But yeah, there were a lot of cliffhangers. They had to deliver on Bobby fighting Pyro. What was Rogue going to do with her powers? The Phoenix. And then you got the whole Magneto and his Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. They teamed up in the last movie, and then he kind of betrayed him at the end. Anyway, the person they got to tell this story was Brett Ratner, another director who I think got canceled a few years back. I don't know why, though.
I mean, everybody does at this point.
I don't care enough about Brett Ratner to look into it. I mean, Rush Hour 1 and 2 were fine. 3 sucked. What else did he do? Oh, we reviewed Red Dragon. Red Dragon is his best movie, but that's because Michael Mann did that movie first in the 80s. The Hannibal movie.
Okay.
But did you know there was a Hannibal movie before Silence of the Lambs? It's called Manhunter. I think I have it over there.
No.
Okay. Didn't do well. That's why when they made Silence of the Lambs, they're like, recast Hannibal. Don't even mention the previous movie. No one fucking saw it.
Okay.
So then those movies got popular. Like, all right, let's do Red Dragon, Manhunter again. And we'll do it with Anthony Hopkins. So like people are like, wow, this is a really good movie for Brett Ratner. It's like, yeah, because Michael Mann did it first. And Brett Ratner just had more money and better actors to do it with. So they got him to fill in. I think he is friends with Bryan Singer. So it wasn't like this hostile thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we were talking because we forgot to research some early versions of the script. I believe Sigourney Weaver, they wanted as Emma Frost, right?
Yeah, so when Bryan Singer was still attached, it was going to be Sigourney Weaver was going to be Emma Frost, so they could do the whole Hellfire Club thing. Yeah. And I think they were going to make her kind of more of like a emotional manipulator.
Okay.
Kind of, that was the angle that they were going with.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. So I picked up the Dark Pheonix saga, which I didn't realize her becoming the Phoenix is not part of the Dark Pheonix saga. That's like a different saga. A lot of sagas. This is just when she became evil. But you're right. The Hellfire Club does manipulate her. Not so much Emma Frost. She is there. It's more the guy Kevin Bacon ended up playing. Or no, it's Mastermind. But they couldn't do Mastermind because they turned him into a wheelchair guy and killed him in the previous film. But yeah, the Kevin Bacon character is in there. Shaw, I think his name is Shaw. Yeah, there's the whole thing where they're tricking Jean Grey into thinking she's in a time slip, but they're just manipulating her. And she thinks Storm is one of her slaves and she slaps her around a little bit. I'm like, can't believe that didn't make it into the movie. Yeah, so I reread the original story and I watched the cartoon adaptation. And I wanted to be really well-versed before we went into this.
And how did that go?
This movie ignores a lot of it. Yeah. A lot of this story hinges on the whole thing that Cyclops really loves Jean. So as you can tell, they made some liberties with this film.
Well, I mean, they had to lose out on Cyclops.
Don't worry, we'll give it to Wolverine, and I'll talk about what Wolverine does at the end of the movie versus how it's handled in the book, which I sent you a picture of.
Yeah.
Like in the book, he's like, hell of a thing. Boom.
Oopsie.
Yeah, so Bryan Singer took over. I was still on board. I'm like, look, Brett Ratner took over. I'm like, look, if he's friends with Bryan Singer, the pieces were kind of laid out, the story was kind of developed, maybe it'll be good. But then I started hearing other things like, oh, they're going to introduce this Cure subplot. I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, also Trask and the Sentinels will be involved. And I went, oh, I feel like we're getting a little stuffed here. Yeah. What's going on here? Calypso and the Morlocks, although I think they're the Omegas in this, will also be in it. I'm like, that feels like its own movie. Why are we, oh no, this is going to fall apart. But I still got excited. I went to see it in the theater. I enjoyed it, but I knew it was a big step down. It was one of those like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
I was just, okay.
Yeah. I also was just like, and then in my head, I'm like, well, don't worry. That Superman movie a few months later is really going to knock this one out of the park.
And it did not.
I enjoyed that one too, but both of them, I'm like, it could have been a little bit better. But yes, let's get into X-Men: The Last Stand, unless you had any other personal stories related to it. Do you remember seeing it in the theater?
I do not.
Do you remember what you ate in the theater?
I didn't even remember seeing it in the theater. How am I going to remember what I ate? Most likely pretzel nuggets with the cheese. That's usually what I get.
Actually, a few episodes back, I mentioned how me and you saw the Omen remake on 666. Do you remember that happening?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was not memorable, apparently.
What do you mean? It's very memorable. Everything in that movie happened in the original. It's the same movie. It's literally the same movie. Anyway, I don't know. I was just thinking of theater stories. I'm like, oh yeah, I told that story recently. I'm sure my cousin Monica remembers that story.
Nope.
You're my favorite cousin.
Oh, thanks.
The others don't watch the show, so I can say that. Anyway, so the movie opens with a very digitally airbrushed Charles Xavier Eric.
I still don't know why I'm here.
How's this one hold up? This was interesting at the time.
Yeah, at the time it was probably great, but now it's just very awkward.
Yeah, he's way too smooth. This is
Yeah.
something they're still kind of struggling with, depending on the movie. But yeah, they were a little... Luckily, it's only this scene. But I want to make a point. So this must be the 80s because it's teenage Jean Grey. They're meeting Jean Grey. So I'm guessing it's early 80s, maybe late 70s. And I want to make a point that they look nothing like James McAvoy or Michael Fassbender.
They do not.
Remember when they made 4 films that span 4 decades and they only aged 5 years in that time? Wasn't that weird? Anyway, they're going to meet young Jean Grey, and she shows off her powers. She's like, I'm awesome.
And I have to think the neighborhood probably hates her.
Yeah.
Because
you know, they always
just, like lifting up their cars.
They always paint the humans as assholes in these for hating the mutants. I'm like, you know what? I get what you're saying, that you're trying to parallel to like real life marginalized people. But in the universe of the comic, I would hate if someone who could just like rip my head off with their mind lived next door to me. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable here. My car flew in the air yesterday. I don't know how to deal with this.
I mean, it's kind of like what The Boys is about. Like you're just like, hey,
don't watch The Boys.
Oh.
I'm mad. You know, I feel like I have eyes on me from all over this store, off camera even. I'm mad that they canceled The Tick on a cliffhanger. So I said I'm never going to watch The Boys or Invincible. And then my friend Yoshi said, I'm working on season 2 of Invincible. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch Invincible to support you. But The Boys, no.
Boys is good.
Well, the hot redhead from The Tick is now going to be in the new season of The Boys.
So now you're going to watch it?
Yeah, I might. And I got to catch up.
Okay.
I mean, it looks fine, but I'd rather The Tick season 3, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You should be. I blame you personally for not watching The Tick 10 times in a row.
I didn't have the streaming service at the time to watch The Tick.
Everyone has Amazon Prime.
Well, not at that time.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, they meet with her. She's throwing cars in the air.
Yeah.
Stan Lee is like, my hose. Random Stan Lee cameo. So they're like, hey, we're going to take you to our school. We're going to teach you how to be good.
They don't really do a lot of convincing. Like, we don't see them really try to convince her.
Yeah.
Well, they try, but like, she's just like, okay.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah,
all right. Well,
well-
she's meeting a psychic and a guy who can move metal. And
Yeah.
she's like, well, I can kind of do both those things. So these people might understand
let's do
me.
it.
And then we also see a young, what's it, Warring Worthington III? Or am I messing up that name?
It's Warren Worthington.
I think he's the third.
Possibly.
Yes. Angel. Look, I know he's one of the original X-Men, like in the very first team.
Mm-hmm.
I've never liked Angel. He's just a guy with wings. Like, it's just, most of them can fly without wings. So him with wings, it's like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't understand the appeal of Angel. And I'm glad he was phased out of like the mainline team. But here he is. It's Angel, and he's trying to shave off his wings because he's all sad.
little child. Yeah, child Angel. I mean, that scene's a little sad because he's like in the bathroom and he's just like trying to saw off his wings.
Yeah.
Then his
They're
dad
like-
sees him.
I like
He's
that they're
"Oh,
not
God."
fully out yet. It's just like the feathers are like poking out. Yes, and his dad, played by the mayor from Batman Returns. And if Crystal was here, she would be like, oh, that was him, because we reviewed Batman Returns, but Crystal is dead, so she can't do that. But that is the mayor from Batman Returns.
Okay.
And he's like, not you, not my son.
No.
And I get it. It's like if a dad or whatever finds out that their kid's gay or something. I get it.
I feel like you should take that statement back.
No, I mean, this is like a reality. If you found out your kid is something that you don't like, that's what this scene is supposed to parallel in
I know,
real
but
life.
like you're like, I understand. That's coming off the wrong way.
No, I don't. Okay, no. I don't mean I understand it. I would also be disappointed. I understand what they're saying with the scene. I get the symbolism with the scene. It's much like the previous film when they're like, "Have you tried not being a mutant?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, I get what they're saying." And then we have, like with most of these movies, CGI title sequence. Only this time, instead of just random CGI nonsense, they actually show like the cure getting made
Yeah.
and put into needles. And the new music sucks. The first movie had music by Don Davis, I think, and that was really good. And then John Ottman totally killed it with the second movie. He fucking nailed it with the score. And then I don't even know who they got for this one, but it's really, really bad. It's like one of the worst X-Men scores ever. And then we get the not too distant future.
That was stupid because they're just in the danger room.
Yeah, I know the very first movie opens up with the not too distant future, but like, yeah, they're trying to trick us.
Yeah.
And again, this is another one where everyone was kind of like, it's the danger room. Like, it didn't trick anyone. And I remember being let down because it's like, oh, I thought they were actually going to fight Sentinels. And instead it's a danger room Sentinel. You don't even actually get to see the Sentinel. You just see its head.
And wait, were the Sentinels even in the movies before this?
When Mystique went on the computer in the second one, there were like 10 million references to other characters and things. I think there was a reference to like the Sentinel program.
So how would...
That's a good question.
Why
How would
are they fighting Sentinels?
I guess in their danger room thing, they were like, big robot. Maybe not necessarily
big robots are coming. We need to be prepared. AI is going to take over.
Yeah. So the X-Men are training.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I know you love her and I understand. Rogue is useless in this scenario. I like Rogue. We talked about this in the last film.
She's not useless unless she can start like touching everybody so she can take some
But that's
powers.
the thing. She takes Colossus's power, but then that weakens him technically. Yeah. So she's actually a liability on the battlefield. This is the problem with Rogue in the movies. Like, you can find things for her to do, but when it comes to battling, if you don't give her the Miss Marvel powers, she's not very good on the battlefield. You got to find something else for her to do. Yeah. And I get Miss Marvel, they couldn't use that character, but you could have come up with some reason why. But no, they decided not to do that. Instead, she's just on the battlefield and literally does nothing. She looks sad that her boyfriend met a nice lady. Played by Elliot Page. Okay. Wolverine and Colossus, they do the fastball special. Wolverine doesn't want to be there, by the way. He's very annoyed.
I hated the scene, and like I know that's very Wolverine attitude to just like not care.
Yeah.
But I'm like watching this, and he's just like, you know, smoking, and he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna take care of everything. I'm like, you are a horrible teacher.
He admits it though, which is nice.
I mean, yeah, we get to that point where he's just like, I'm filling in for Scott.
There's some cringe dialogue between Storm and Wolverine.
Oh, don't get your panties in a bunch. Best defense is a good offense. Or is it the other way around?
Don't get your panties in a bunch.
I was just like, what?
The best defense is a good offense. Or is it the other way around? And then, like, Storm gets sassy a couple times. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, he cuts off the Sentinel's head. And actually, I saw someone post this on X the other day. It's called X now. I saw them post this the other day.
Aptly named.
Yes. The X-Men love X. So the head falls. Mm-hmm. But we see the head do a 360, and Wolverine is not on that head. And then it lands, and then Wolverine walks behind the head as if he was, like, on it the whole time. It's like, where did he come from? Because then we also see before it hits, there's, like, a huge field. It's like, did he just run really, really quick to hide behind the thing? And then he was just like, huh, no problem.
I did that.
Okay. So the danger room... Does the danger room in the it's been a minute. Does the danger room in like the comics act like the holodeck in Star Trek where it's all holograms?
I don't watch Star Trek.
Okay, well, it's the same idea as this where there's holograms that make everything look real.
But like they can they interact with the holograms, like actually touch them? And
I mean, they do with the Sentinel thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
All the objects they're touching. It's a little confusing. Like Star Trek has like bullshit logic to make it work, but the danger room that I'm remembering, maybe from like the comics I'm reading and the cartoons, is like it just had a bunch of machines that would try to kill them. There weren't really holograms.
Yeah.
And this one, it's a holodeck from Star Trek, but I mean that's a big technological leap with like hard light structures. Like you got to explain this a little bit. You can't just throw this in here. But they want it.
A lot of things just thrown into this movie.
Okay, the name of the game is being excessive. They weren't able to do the danger room in the previous two films, so they were like, we gotta do a danger room. This is the last one. There are like 10 movies after this. So yeah, they do that whole sequence. It's like, okay, whatever. But this is also the beginning of the Rogue, Iceman, Kitty Pryde love triangle.
Yeah. Which, not a fan of.
Again, just too goddamn many storylines in this.
Well, I mean, that started in the second movie. So it is kind of a continuation.
Well, them having an issue because she can't actually touch them and they're horny teenagers.
But he always says that's not what this is about.
Yeah, he's actually very caring, which I think we're gonna say.
Yeah, but he cares too much about other people too.
He's also a teenage boy. Can you blame him? He's
Whatever.
a teenage boy who's got like a smoking hot girlfriend who he can't touch, and he's like, "Well, this other hot girl really likes me." I really feel for Bobby in this.
I am not a fan of Bobby.
Well, so yeah, they all leave the danger room. I do appreciate that they're trying to give Storm more to do.
Yeah.
They tried it with the previous film, but I think that came late in the game after she won the Oscar. They're like, give more Storm scenes. But this time they did it from the beginning. But the problem is they finally gave her a lot to do in a movie where there's a lot going on. But first we got to get rid of that fucking loser Cyclops. Am I right?
This is just, it's so weird.
So Scott apparently spends all his days fully dressed with
Crying
his
in
boots
his
on.
bedroom.
Yeah, just crying in his bedroom. Really, really sad. And he's getting psychic messages from Jean,
Yeah.
who's dead. Or is
Supposedly.
she? Turns out she's alive at the bottom of that lake. I'm not getting anything from Crystal. She's dead at the bottom of that lake, and she will never get out of there. But yeah, so he's like, I gotta go see Jean. But before that, Rogue is frustrated at Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're a boy. Your mind's only on one thing. It's like, lady, he's been real reasonable. I'm
Technically-
sorry. He's been really reasonable.
And her mind is obviously on one thing too.
Yeah, it's like, well, why do you want to lose your powers so much, Rogue?
I did. I'll bring this up later.
Okay.
Because it'll fit better in with.
Does it have to do
scene
with the
later.
ending?
No.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
it's
okay.
closer to the end, but it's not the ending.
Okay, because I was going to say, the whole, like, what will Rogue do element, even the filmmakers were unsure. They shot 2 different endings for her because they were like, we don't know which fucking one to go with.
Well, they did a couple different things with her, apparently.
Yeah. Kelsey Grammer as Beast. Everyone wanted this.
So I actually read that this is the first movie he auditioned for in 20 years because he really wanted to be Beast.
That's pretty good. I don't even think he needed to audition. I feel like they would have just.
Yeah, I don't think they cared either. They're like, Kelsey Grammer, you want to do it? Yes.
Everyone it's like when it came to fan casting, it's like Patrick Stewart as Professor X,
Yeah.
obviously, and then it was like, oh, Kelsey Grammer is Beast, duh.
And then he came back to do his little cameo in Marvels.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm aware of it though. He's CGI now though.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna make him CGI at this point, I'm like, why don't you just get the guy from the cartoon? It's probably cheaper, to be honest. No one really gives a shit that it's Kelsey Grammer.
But
Kelsey Grammer's
still
in
has his like face.
Kelsey Grammer's in like direct-to-video movies like Money Plane that are garbage, and he did that
Yeah,
horrible.
he's also married to like a Real Housewife, or no, he's divorced from a Real
Ah.
Housewife.
He did that horrible Frasier reboot that no one wanted, where
Oh.
Niles didn't even come back. So it's like, just get the guy from the cartoon. Guy from the cartoon who does Beast voice had a cameo in the very first movie. Do you know which character he was?
No.
He was the truck driver that drops Rogue off at the place where she meets
Oh.
Wolverine.
Okay.
This is Carson City, that guy. He is kind of perfect, this Beast. Beast is really good in this. All right, and this is one thing I want to say about this movie. I don't mean in terms of being faithful to the stories, but this one feels the most like a comic book. It's very colorful and goofy. He's doing his fucking one-liners like, oh, my stars and garters and
Yeah.
stuff. This one feels like a comic book. I don't mean necessarily it's a perfect adaptation of an X-Men comic, because it's not. But they were definitely just having a little bit more fun with this. And again, this is another thing that they were building up the last 2 movies, because Beast was supposed to be in the first one, but they didn't want to do the effects for it, so they made Jean a doctor to kind of replace him. And the second movie, he has that cameo on the TV where he's like a human.
Oh.
And they were supposed to show him turning blue when everyone's brain was getting scrambled, and they didn't do that. So now we finally get Beast. But the problem with this movie, it acts like he's always been there.
Yeah, they're always like, "Oh, it's great seeing you again, Hank." Like,
it's like, do you know him? Like, I know he was on the TV in that one episode, but no, in that one movie, but none of you mentioned it.
He's like what's it? Director of Mutant Affairs or something.
Yes.
So like he's important to their cause and everything like that.
Yeah,
but
you get the idea that he is like in the first class. He was like one of the older X-Men, like when they were younger. But I do like that he's upside down reading. That as I'm watching like the cartoons and reading the old comics, like that is very Beast. He meets with the new president, and Trask, played by Bill Duke, who looks nothing like Peter Dinklage. A lot of inconsistencies in this series. You have Bill Duke, a very black man, the guy from Predator, gets his head blown off. Mac from Predator. And then 3 movies later, he's suddenly Peter Dinklage, a very tiny white man.
Not like a scientist in this movie.
No, he's like a general or something. Yeah. A lot of inconsistencies there.
Mm-hmm.
Although Deadpool 2, I keep saying Deadpool 2 explains every continuity issue now. Because he got time travel at the end of that movie and fucked everything up, which is apparently the plot line in the new movie. They're mad that he fucked up the timeline so much. So any continuity error in these movies, like how Emma Frost is like 11 in the 70s in X-Men Origins, and then she's like in her 30s in the 60s in First Class, that's because Deadpool went back in time and fucked her out.
Blame it on Deadpool.
Remember X-Men Apocalypse and Logan both had the character Caliban, but they were played by 2 different people and acted completely different? The productions never talked to each other. They didn't know that they were using the same mutant. Because people were like, wait, how does this tie in? They're like, oh, it doesn't. We just didn't know that we both used the same mutant.
We didn't come up with a spreadsheet or anything.
Yeah, someone probably should have went, hey, what mutants are you using for your movie? I noticed there's 2 Calibans here. Anyway, he learns that they captured Mystique, and she's being interrogated by Chilton from Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon. I guess Brett Ratner really liked working with him and brought him back. And I'm glad they gave her one like fight scene in this movie because she gets written out pretty quick.
Yeah, they barely use her in this movie.
Sorry.
No, and just speaking in this scene in particular, I was very confused about like, were the handcuffs special? Because she could still use her powers and change herself, but she couldn't get out of the handcuffs.
I'm assuming some sci-fi device, because a lot of times in the cartoon or comics, they'll like, we put this thing on you that will stop you from using your power.
But she can use her powers.
She can use her power, but I guess it's like, but you can't change the size of your wrists. That's the one thing it does.
To like do the handcuffs shrink to whatever size she like expand. Like, I didn't get the part, and that was like one of those annoying things that bothered me. But yeah, it's very weird how this movie also kind of just is like, she's in it for a little bit, and then she's gonna be gone.
I don't know why they did that.
I think she was working. There was a couple people in this movie, like Anna Paquin, and maybe Rebecca Romaine Stamos, but I don't like what else was the fuck she was doing. Had like filming like conflicts.
Oh. I don't know. Those are 2 really big characters, though. It's like, those are weird characters to give a backseat to in the finale of your trilogy. It's like, oh, I don't know, man. I would have like, Colossus probably could have sat this one out. He's just kind of, he has 1 line of dialogue in the whole film. And he's another one they act like he's been there the whole time. Like, he said 2 things in both these movies.
And then he doesn't even get to fight with some of the main characters he usually fights with. So,
yeah. Also, his effect looks so cool in the previous one. It looks like garbage in this one. His metal
Well, I think
effect.
it's because they had to cover so many mutant powers. They probably had their budget was just like.
Well, I think in the previous one, they definitely used a little bit of CGI, but I think it also might have been mixed with like makeup effects. But for this one, they're like, we got to be quicker. So I think they built him like a rubber suit. And they went over it with CGI, but the CGI looks like it's unfinished. It looks really bad. He looks like way too shiny at some points. I know he's supposed to be shiny, but not that shiny. Yeah, so Mystique, she gets to fight a little bit, and they get rid of her. But then Hank learns that there's this new cure that can get rid of mutant abilities. And he's like, oh, shit. We got to look into that. That could be, that could cause a lot of issues. We should look into this. And then Charles is talking about how you have to use powers responsibly. And this is when we get our favorite mutant. Person who can write notes with their hand. This is your favorite mutant besides Rogue, I think, right?
Yeah, I love this one. If anybody out there knows who this mutant is supposed to be, I would love for you to tell me, because I kept searching online. I was like, okay, there's got to be a list of like all the mutants that appeared in this, and nobody talks about her. Nobody's like, I'm like, okay, is she an actual mutant? They were just like, hey, this would be kind of cool looking.
I think that's it. Because, like, there's mutants like that in the previous film, like the kid who could run on water. I don't think he's from the comics. Watch, someone's going to be like, that's Water Runner. How do you not know? He was from Volume 3, Issue 42. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know about Water Runner. I think it's just one of those, like, throwaway ones. But, yeah, like, that's one of my problems. Like, how do you even find out you have that power? Also, how are you making the ink? I don't understand. Also, that's a really easy power to hide. Like, watch, I'll do it like, all right, say I'm by myself, and then I see you, and I go, oh, hold on.
Yeah, like, her parents were like, we're gonna have you go to a special school in upstate New York.
You need to learn this power. They could be like, hey, when people are around, use this pen. Just pretend you have a pen, and just, like, write. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's my problem with
I mean, her future as a stenographer is bright. So.
She's got to, like, pretend to write with one hand and do the notes with the other.
Well, I mean, they type. So.
Oh.
But she could just listen to everything.
I would like, you know how they always are like, the humans are racist against mutants. I would like to see the racist guy that's like, and you, with your evil... waving your hand and making words appear power. You are slightly less effective than a printer, and that scares me. Such a stupid power. Charles is showing footage of his friend Moira McTaggart, who looks nothing like Rose Byrne.
No.
And looks like she's in maybe like her 30s or 40s. Definitely doesn't.
And she's also a different career.
A different career. Also, she has her comic accurate accent. And I'm pretty sure she's dating Banshee. We just never see him. But yeah, if you're a fan of the comic, you know that's kind of like one of Charles Xavier's like on again, off again flings. It's like her and the alien Lalandra, which is actually a big part of the Phoenix storyline. They're not here. They didn't get to space yet. So yeah, he's watching this video and the girl's like, this man behind me who's out of focus has no higher brain functions. He was born with no higher brain functions. And
he was born that way?
Yeah, so I think she said he was born without it. So like, they just been keeping this guy alive. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's paying for this guy to be alive for so long? His family must be very wealthy and could afford mansions. Anyway, Charles Xavier is like, would it be ethical if I were to put my conscience in him, huh? But he doesn't get
the big moral issue. Like, when should we use our powers? Like, can we use them in these situations?
Yes. And then the camera cuts to a wide shot so we can see Jubilee doing nothing for the third time in the series.
Poor Jubilee.
Well, I think the first movie
they used her more in the other.
Yeah,
franchise.
at least the first movie they actually had her wearing a yellow jacket, but then they cut that scene out. It's only in the extended version. And then the second movie and this one, I think they even actually in the second movie, I think they cut out Storm saying her name. So it's just like, well, there's that Asian lady. That's Jubilee. Take our words for it. She does nothing.
Yeah.
Why even include her? Because like we're thinking like this. So this is early 2000s. This is after like the success of the 90s comics and the cartoon. Jubilee's kind of a big character.
Yeah. And she's in the 97 too.
Yeah.
Like, she's a big part of the X-Men.
Yeah. At this time, but it's like, then if you're not going to like really use her, just leave her out. You don't. It's weird that she's just always in the background. Like, I'm Jubilee. I don't even get to use my powers. Bye.
A lot of people at the school don't get to use their powers.
And then they had another chance to do Jubilee again. And again, they made her a background character who did nothing. I also think she doesn't use her powers in that movie, too. I don't even like Jubilee.
She uses them, but, like, just for, like, fun, like, little things.
Again, I'm not even a Jubilee fan, but if you're going to have her do something.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, yeah, Charles, he notices that the weather is all messed up. Because Storm is sad, and she decides to make it everyone else's problem by fucking up the weather. And it's like, all right, buddy. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, I forgot to mention, we totally walked over a part where Wolverine yells at Scott to be like, you should have been teaching him. And he's like, fuck you, I'm sad. Anyway, now that we've established that happened.
Okay.
Charles tells Storm, he's like, hey, I want you to replace me one day. And she's like, what? What about Scott?
Yeah, because Scott's...
Yeah.
Charles already knows. He's like, Scott's leaving
Scott's
this movie.
a changed man. It's like, should we try to do like therapy with him? No, just replacing him.
He's been around with us forever, but we're not even going to try. He's not allowed to feel grief.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like, Storm, you're one of my oldest students. I remember when you had that African accent and then you lost it a year later. Remember that? Remember that between movies? Like, didn't she have a really thick African accent and it was gone? She finally assimilated. So yeah, he's like, I want you to take over. Beast is there. And again, she's like, Beast, my old friend. And everyone knows we're friends. And it's very well established. Again, people like us who are watching the cartoon, it's like, well, we know they know each other. But if I went into these movies blind, I would be like, who's the blue guy? Why is everyone pretending?
What did I miss?
I'm like, was he in the other one?
And then Rogue comes in all excited.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
There's a cure?
Yeah, Storm sucks in this scene. Okay, yeah, so he tells about the cure.
Yeah.
And also, Wolverine is weirdly antagonistic toward Beast. I don't know why. He's like, hey, furball. It's like, Wolverine, you're also like an animal kind of guy.
I think it's meant to be like two animals like facing off against each other.
What if they like started peeing and like kicking their feet like animals?
Well, Beast does mention, he's like, well, I get my fur like all over the furniture.
Yeah, he basically, she's like, what kind of coward would want this? I'm like, well,
it's like, be a little more sympathetic.
It's like not everyone can hide it. Like,
you can control the weather.
And this is like something in like the real world. People are like, why aren't people out and proud? It's like, well, you probably have accepting parents, but there's probably people with not accepting parents that would rather just be able to be like, oh yeah, I took this magic thing. It's not a problem anymore. Keep going. And the fact that Storm's like, I don't get it. I'm a mutant that can control the weather. And then Rogue comes in. She's like, I kill everyone I touch. And she's like, there's nothing wrong with you. And Rogue's like, are you sure? Because I kill everything I touch.
I can't have physical connection with anyone because of my powers. Like, this is not a good thing.
I'm trying to think. It's like so not comparable.
And nobody else in the room like says anything.
Yeah.
To like be like, hey, Storm, you know, this might be a little harder for her, or be like, hey, kid, like, you know, that's the one thing. Also, in the first movie, I loved Logan and Rogue's, like, you know, connection, like father, daughter, brother, sister, whatever you want to kind of categorize it. And in this movie, he kind of like doesn't really give a shit about her.
No, the one scene they give him,
they give like one little thing.
Yeah. I actually like that scene, but you're right. They have like no relation in this movie other than that one scene that reminds you that they were like friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kept like, even Wolverine's just like, well, I don't even have an option to take the cure because then my adamantium will poison me and I'll just fucking die.
And I mean, at that point, you know,
like, I will immediately start aging and die. I won't even be able to get old and tiny because my bones won't let me shrink. It will be agony. The fact that they could have written that a little bit better because Storm still is like nothing wrong with us. It's like, it's like, hey, my power is, my mutant power is everyone around me. I increase their lifespan by 50 years. I don't need that cure. And then someone comes in, it's like, my power is I make everyone around me shit ants. And they're like, nothing wrong with you, ant shitter. We're fine the way we are. It's like, well, no, I really would like to make people not shit. I don't even know where the ants come from. It's a mystery to me. Anyway. So, yeah, Storm sucks in this scene. Uh, I had a funnier scenario and I totally forgot it, and I just had
So
to
you
come
went
up
with the shitting ants. Okay.
with shitting it.
No, I probably should have looked up like weird mutants in the X-Men universe before this, because like there's got to be something kind of like that.
I know there's a mutant that just has mouths around their neck.
Yeah.
I'll take the cure. I'm like, please give me a cure. There's only one career that this will help me in, and I really don't want to do it. I'm sorry. So then we get to a meeting of mutants, and I want to call them the Morlocks because that's what they were called, but they all have the Omega sign, so they're like Omegas.
Yeah, they're kind of meant to be the Morlocks.
Yeah. Because Calypso's there, and she's the leader of the Morlocks, although she's very different. But the one guy who starts talking, he's in a lot of movies. He's like one of those character actors you'll see in a lot of stuff. Recently, I saw him in Beau is Afraid, which I loved from last year. But his famous horror character, he's the first 3-finger mutant from Wrong Turn.
Oh.
Remember Wrong Turn 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie sucks. But he's the main mutant in that one. I can recognize him from his big nose now. And when I see him, like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have all the mutants there. And look, the guy who has scales climbing the wall, and the guy who looks like he's made out of like
So the guy I don't know if that was the same one. Was that a knoll? I don't know how you say it.
a knoll is the name of a lizard, so that could probably be him.
Well, no, I think he's in the one maybe he's the same one at the end of the battle, but
Oh, okay. Well, there's him, and then there's a couple other mutants, and then there's guy who has ability to be really fat and then skinny. It's like, okay, just...
And his name is Fat. P-H-A-T.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's a real... I thought that was just a visual gag. I didn't know that
And
was okay.
I think I read he's like one of the, he's a openly gay character too. So the X-Men universe is really screwed.
Well, no, in the gay community, look, I know gay guys, they like big burly dudes and muscular guys, and he's got the best of both worlds. He's swimming in both pools, Monica. He's cleaning house. They're talking about what to do, and then Magneto's just like, they're gonna kill us all! They're gonna kill us all! I mean, I get where he's coming from, because what happened to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's still there with Pyro, who's now dyed his hair a douchebag blonde color. As was the style at the time.
Trying to do not frosted tips, but fire tips. Doing the opposite.
It should have been red, and so he should have looked like Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal. But now he has fancy arm things that shoot fire, so that's pretty cool.
And then Magneto and Callisto kind of have a little bit of a face off, and she's like, "Well, you don't have ink to prove that you're a mutant."
Real quick, is it Callisto or Calypso?
Callisto.
Fuck, I kept writing Calypso in my notes. Yeah, you're right. It's Callisto. Yes, finish the ink thing. Sorry.
She's like, yeah, you don't have a ink showing you're a mutant. So I was like, wait, when did they have this conversation that you needed to have a tattoo saying that you're a mutant? But then he does his famous speech. He's like, I've already gotten my ink, and shows off his
the concentration camp logo. Yeah. I guess that's just something. I want to call them the Morlocks, but they're not. The Omegas do. And speaking of Omegas, we have a couple characters here that are characters in name only. Psylocke is here.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I had looked some stuff up from the movie, and I saw oh, Psylocke in the movie, and I was like, she is?
Because Asian girl, she has purple hair.
Yeah.
Now, she doesn't have her side blade. She's a chameleon lady? And I'm like, I don't remember Psylocke being a chameleon lady.
No.
Also, where's her leotard? I don't understand. I'm glad. Look, skipping ahead to X-Men Apocalypse. Who's the girl who played her in that one?
Olivia Munn.
Look. I appreciate that she really fought to have Psylocke wear the comic accurate leotard. I probably would have been like, hey, for the Auschwitz scene, can I wear a jacket? I feel like this is really inappropriate. I know Oscar Isaac has to be the blue monster man, but I feel like it's really inappropriate to wear this really hot outfit in Auschwitz. I feel like it's very insensitive.
Hey guys, what are you going through? Oh, that sucks.
I would have been like, yeah, I'm a bad guy. I'm like, this feels inappropriate. I'm going to put a jacket on just for the scene.
Bad, but ooh.
I'm saying wear whatever you want. I was just like, if I was writing that movie, I'd be like, and it was chilly, and Psylocke put a jacket on for this scene specifically. Could have been a purple jacket. That's fine. Anyway, so that's Psylocke in name only. And then the one people kept saying was Quill. But he's credited as Kid Omega. And he looks nothing like Kid Omega.
And then I saw some other things where they were listing him as Quill again. So I was just like, it's very confusing.
Yeah, they kept going back and forth. I think in the credits in the film, he is Kid Omega. Okay. I think.
And then there's Arclight.
Arclight, which I know nothing about. She claps her hands. That's her power. We learn out Callisto's power is to run real fast, and she could track mutants. I don't remember the running real fast power, and I just watched the episodes of her show. I don't know if that was made up for the movie.
No, one of her powers is speed.
Okay. I just don't remember in the cartoon. Although I binged a lot of it.
I don't think they focus it as much because, like, her other powers is, like, sensing other people's, like...
That's the more important one.
Yeah.
So he's like, can you track one for me? And then we find out that Mystique is on a prison transfer truck. They're keeping the prisoners mobile. And she's pretending to be a little girl and the president. Or she's pretending to be a president and a little girl. I don't even know why she's trying. They know she's Mystique. But I like that the guy says,
keep it up. I'll spray you in the face, bitch.
It's like, I don't give a fuck. I'll spray you.
There was a deleted scene where he said, oh, Mr. President, fuck you. But they cut that out. They weren't ready to have F-bombs in their X-Men movies yet. They'd have to wait 2 movies for that. And then Hank goes to Alcatraz where they're making the...
This is where Worthington Labs is
This
located.
is where they're making the cure, and he meets Iranian actress Shohreh Aghdashloo. I always butcher that name. She was recently the dragon in that Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah, Damsel. Every time I hear her voice, I'm like, it's that Iranian lady. I know it's her. She talks like this.
Yeah, she's got a very iconic voice.
Yeah, she was in Did you see Renfield?
Yes.
Renfield was good. Yeah. She was good at Renfield. So yeah, they meet Leech, who's just a regular looking bald boy. He's not a green lizard looking dude with no nose. He doesn't have a funny voice.
No.
I'm like, why not just make him look like Leech?
And this is not the only movie that he played.
Oh, yeah. What was the other one? Fuck.
Ultraviolet? Is that it?
Was it Wait, what was the... That's the one with Mila Jovovich.
Isn't it Mila Jovovich?
I'm remembering another movie where he was like a weird science experiment. Was he also one in Ultraviolet?
Maybe I'm mixing it up because I just feel like they're similar.
I can't... Hold on. I'm looking it up.
Look it up faster.
I just...
Okay, so I'm just going to talk.
Tell me what happens in this scene.
So in this scene, like...
Shit, I Googled The Last Stand starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, not X-Men The Last Stand. Sorry. All right, keep going.
Okay. So Hank goes and he comes to visit the little Leech. They don't call him Leech. They just... His name's
There's
Jimmy.
one file that says his real name, and then it says AKA Leech, and that's all we ever see of that.
But, so they bring him to see him, and then Hank gets close enough to him, and then his skin, like his, the blue starts melting away, and it's his human hand underneath.
So he is in Ultraviolet, but hold on.
But it's not the one.
Vampire disease modifies some people, imbuing them with civil war wounds, feeling threatened. Finds herself caught in the crosshair when she becomes a protector of a boy who's perceived to be a threat to humanity. But also he was in Godsend, which is like they clone with Rebecca Romaine. They like clone their son, but then he's like a weird science. So he was playing weird kid science experiment in a couple movies.
He does it really well.
He was really typecast at the time.
But I love this scene because, like, he goes like, "Oh, sorry," to Beast. And Beast is like, "Oh, it's fine." And then they're like, "Okay, like we're just gonna leave," and he just turns around and goes back to playing his Xbox.
Yeah. I feel like he should have been a little younger. The way they're trying to characterize him, I feel like he should have been like 3 or 4 years younger. He's like that awkward teen height. I'm like, I can't buy him as like this. I don't know what it is. It just felt like weird. It felt weird to me. But yeah, it's because when I remember Leech, I feel like his power, he could control it. It wasn't just constant the whole time.
Towards the end of the movie, we see him go to the...
yeah, I guess he hasn't learned to control it yet. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. Hank has that moment where he's like, "Oh, my hand, it's not blue." He's like, "By the way, can I stand a little closer to you and then take some selfies for my dating app, and then I'll leave?" Definitely not blue. Scott, I just remember this on my own. Scott is driving to Alkali Lake to look at the water for his dead wife, his place. I guess dead bodies don't float.
And then he gets, the
Yes.
screaming in his head again.
And it's like, Scott, he's like, I'm going to use my optic blast. Blah! And he's like screaming. And this frees Jean from her telekinetic cocoon that she was in. And she shows up. Her hair is way longer than it was. Oh, yeah. She's looking pretty good. Pretty good. And she's like, wow, I'm back. Feels great. And he's like, oh, my God. And she's like, hey, take those glasses off. I can control optic blast now. He's like, what?
He's like, no.
No, I don't want to laser you. And then she goes, they're not technically lasers. They're optic blasts. They're not like heat vision lasers. And then they ruin that in 2 more movies. Anyway, actually, no, the immediate movie, they ruin that. But yeah, she's like, I'm going to do this. And she like finally gets rid of his lasers and you actually see his eyes. And James Marsden was like, yes, everyone's going to see how hot I am. And they're going to rush to see Superman return. And then
they kiss. And this kiss is very reminiscent of another movie that Famke Janssen did.
Deep Rising?
No.
Oh.
I've never seen that one. So
GoldenEye?
No.
I was going to say, I don't remember Cyclops throwing her on a heater and burning her butt like in GoldenEye. What movie?
The Faculty.
Oh, The Faculty.
Because when she kisses him, they have that weird, like, little
Oh, yeah. The
tendril-looking things and hit, like, both their faces. Like, she's sucking him dry, basically.
Monica, if you want to know more about The Faculty, you can go back and watch my Faculty episode I did with official Joey C. That movie still holds up. That movie's a good time.
I love that movie.
Her dummy, when her car crashes, the dummy they use for her is one of my favorite things in the world. Along with her octopus head. I love that she survives at the end of the movie and they just put a bandana around her neck. Like, how'd they put her head back on?
Well, her head got connected again when she was an alien. And that was good. She's good.
Yeah. So yeah, she kills him.
Well, it's one of those. We don't see her kill him though, right?
Yeah, I feel like they left wiggle room in case they ever wanted to bring him back. But knowing where the series went, he was canonically dead at this point. So yeah, he's like, no longer will I be cucked by Wolverine. I'm now going to be cucked by Superman. What is up with James? And then he's like, man, I just got done being cucked on The Notebook. I feel like I'm being typecast here. I promise I'm a good guy. So yeah, Professor X, he gets like a brain scramble. He's like, everyone go to Alkali Lake. They show up. Why is Storm being so like sassy here? He's like, wow, I can't see anything through this fog. She's like, I can take care of that. It's like, Storm, when you were flying in, why didn't you just do that right away? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, it took her a while. And she's like, well, I can see, but whatever. I'll help you out.
So stupid. But yeah, I like how everything's floating because her power's all over. They find the glasses floating, and he's like, what could that mean? And they find Jean. And they're like, well, we got to get her back.
Oh my gosh, Jean.
Now.
And at no point do they give a fuck about Scott.
Yeah, they're like, well, we found his glasses. Should we look for him? Be like, I'm Wolverine. I should probably smell and see if I can sense him.
Like,
nope.
We see his glasses here, so something like he was here.
Yeah.
No.
He's probably fine, with those optic blasts that he can't control without his glasses.
And they don't mention, like, okay, we'll send somebody else to come back to Alkali Lake. Like, let's get Jean back.
Yeah.
No.
They sent the kid who can make text with his hand. He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going on trees, just going, Scott, if you see this, call the X Mansion. And then I left the number. And they're like, don't leave the number for the... And these are if anyone else is reading this, disregard. He's like, my powers only have me right. They don't let me erase. That's a stupid power. That's what it is. They also sent the kid, I think he's in this one too, but he was in the previous film where he could change channels by blinking. They send the B team out to find Scott.
He's another one that's lining up for the cure.
And I get so invested in the movie, and then I have something in my eye, and I
Parents had
turn
to send them to the expansion because they're like, you will keep changing the channel.
We're trying to watch the game. Stop changing the channel. I can't help it. Yeah, there's X-Men 3.5 was just them in the woods going, Scott.
They said all the kids with useless powers.
They stop at a diner to take a break, and they're like, look what's happening in San Francisco. And the guy goes, what? And he blinks and he changes the channel. Like Looney Tunes is playing. He's like, I don't get it. Why'd you want me to look at that? He's like, no, change it. So Professor X reveals. And there's a little bit of this in the original story where he like put psychic barriers because she was having trouble controlling her thing. But then they kind of do a retcon of the whole Phoenix thing. He's like, yes. And then she developed another personality called the Phoenix. And then I'm just like, but she didn't go to space. I think what it was, and they mentioned in the second movie, I think Magneto's machine from the first movie is what awoken the Phoenix in her. It like further developed her.
Isn't it something too that like in the comics where like Dark Pheonix is basically resurrected in Jean, like her consciousness, kind of like what they do with Charles, like her consciousness kind of goes.
Yeah. So the comics are a different thing. There was a Phoenix Force. Lalandra's brother was trying to use it. Somehow it bonded with Jean. They thought she was dead. She came back. So she was Phoenix for a while, and then the Hellfire Club manipulated her into Dark Pheonix. And at the end, she tricks the X-Men into like she sets it up where she kills herself, but she has the X-Men weaken her, so she's able to do it. It's like a whole thing, but in this, like, there is no Phoenix Force. I think it's just Magneto's machine awoken this evolution in her that gave her the power. Yeah. And maybe it's tied to something cosmic. I don't know. Because in the second film, the opening monologue, which they don't do in this one, the whole, like, mutants, blah, blah. They show, like, a figure in space, and I think that was, like, hinting at it.
Oh,
but yeah, they totally backtrack on this. So now it's just a alternate personality, and it's just her telekinesis gone wild.
And like Logan's really pissed off about this.
Logan's got a point. He's like, wait a minute, you're not really practicing what you preach, Charles. What the fuck is all this ethic shit? You're putting barriers in her brain and trying to make her forget all this shit? Like,
I mean, I think at this point we've realized that Charles isn't great about therapy because he didn't give a shit about Scott having to deal with his grief.
Yeah, it's like, he's still crying about it. Ugh.
He's gonna put up barriers in Jean's mind so she doesn't deal with any of her, like, you know, other personalities. Like, no.
She was all about desire and stuff. I'm like, wow, you really probably killed her college experience. That's why she ended up with such a fucking stick like fucking Scott. Jesus. Yeah, so Wolverine chews him out. Then we see Warrington Sr. wants to, or Worthington. Yeah, Worthington wants to give his son Angel the cure, and he's played by Ben Foster. And I recently talked about Ben Foster in The Punisher. I reviewed that over on Cinema Trip Reviews.
Yeah, he was in that.
He was.
Don't they say in this scene that Warren Angel is the first test subject?
Yeah, but then she says it could be Jar, and it's like, how do you know that?
Well, here's my other thought during this whole scene was that why are you announcing a cure if you haven't tested it on anyone?
It doesn't make any sense.
Like, you've tested it on no one.
Maybe it's the newest version. I think we figured it out this time. So the problem is they can't generate the cure. They can like replicate it, but they can't generate the source, which is why they're keeping Leech so they can figure out a way to generate it. But yeah, they're like, let's do this. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this.
No, I like my wings.
And then he's like, I thought this is what we want. He's like, no, it's what you wanted, Dad. And then the whole time I'm watching this, like, you should have brought him to Alcatraz, put him in a room with Leech, and then his wings would fall off. And he'd be like, hey, son, do you like this? Do you like that having wings? And he'd be like, you know. Yeah, actually, it kind of feels good. Like, hey,
I don't have to wear these ugly coats anymore.
hey, son, try wearing a tight-fitting shirt. It's like, oh my God, I can wear tight-fitting shirts? Then they're like, hey, son, walk through that doorway and you won't hit anything. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Instead, they're like, yep, no time to test it out, even though they could test it out. Like, time to jam you with this fucking needle.
Yeah.
But again, like, I feel like you could have cut a lot of the Angel. You could have cut all of the Angel subplot out. Like,
Unless was like his dad a bigger part of the comics?
I don't remember. But I get they wanted like something with the guy who created the cure to be like, to have some kind of redemption arc, but not really.
Yeah.
They're trying to show he's not really malicious. It's not like Stryker was in the previous film. It's like he's like, hey, I just want a better life for my son, and I feel this is the right thing. He doesn't really hate mutants.
Yeah.
He says, like, we're only going to give it to people who want it, and then the military's like, yeah, but can you weaponize it for us?
Which they do really fast.
They do it really fast.
Yeah, they all have cartridges that they can use to shoot people.
And again, they haven't technically tested it out
Yeah.
yet.
Don't know what's gonna happen, but
Why no?
Magneto destroys all the trucks in a pretty badass scene.
Yeah.
Killing everyone. And he frees a bunch of mutants. He frees Multiple Man, who's pretty funny. I liked him. Then he frees the Juggernaut. And he goes, hey, you're not a mutant. You have a magic crystal. And also, you're my mortal enemy's half-brother. And then the Juggernaut goes, not in this movie. It's like, oh, because I remember people being like, wait a minute, isn't he? It's Charles' brother. And it's like, he's not a mutant. He has a magic crystal. And it's like,
well, they also don't make him a brother, Charles' brother, in the other movie either.
I'm saying, no, in Deadpool they do.
They do?
Deadpool, he has a line of dialogue. He's like, wait, so you wear that helmet so your brother can't read your mind?
Oh.
Yeah. Change one or the other. I'm fine with making him a regular mutant. I'm fine with that. But it's like, hey, you're asking me to forget too many things about this character, all right? All right, it was already weird with Mystique and Nightcrawler in the previous film that they weren't related. It's like, stop doing this. We know. But yeah, he's played by Vinnie Jones. I don't remember him having an Australian accent in the cartoon, but whatever. And he's in that weird rubber bodysuit, latex bodysuit. He's not coming back for the new one, which makes sense.
Yeah, I read that he was just like, I guess he didn't like the experience or like dealing with people, so
also,
fans or something.
Why would they bring back that version of him? Especially now that they're bringing back the old actors, but looking like their classic costumes and stuff. Like Pyro is wearing the orange and yellow suit in the new trailer. With the goggles and everything.
I gotta watch that.
Really? But the Juggernaut in Deadpool 2 is way better. Like that's the one that you want. So yeah, the guard has the cure gun. He shoots Mystique.
Yeah.
Turns her back into
he tries to shoot Magneto and Mystique dive bombs in front of him. She's like, no.
And Magneto's an idiot. And he goes, sorry, you're one of them. Fuck you. It's like, no, Magneto, you should keep her around and be like, look what they did. They're going to do this to you. Like, you can keep her around.
Like, just keep her around because, like, she's been your loyal companion.
Also, Magneto, she knows a lot about you. If you turn your back on her, she could fuck you up somewhere down the line. Which she does later on in the movie.
She goes straight to the government. And she's like, I'm going to tell you everything.
Did she have eyeshadow on when she turned back into a human?
Yes.
So did Mystique put eyeshadow on before?
I don't know. Her hair's super silky and straight. Like,
It's looking pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, they get rid of her. They're like, sorry, lady, we're out. Hank
Pyro, I think, feels a little bad because he kind of like looks at her like, and he's like looking back and forth like, wait, what?
Well, Pyro's like, well, fuck, if I get hit with that thing, he's just gonna... Pyro should be like, I gotta kill this guy at some point. I gotta fucking off this dude at some point. Hank is upset that the cure was weaponized. And the president's like, well, they're pretty dangerous. Like, and again, look, I get...
You've seen Magneto, right?
I get, like, the allegory, and so I get what they're saying, but like, in the universe, it's like, yeah, you're gonna want to keep some of those mutants, and like, some of them could cause a lot of damage.
You know how much money we have to spend having a special prison transport just for them?
It's like, yeah, the guy who once he starts running can't be stopped and it can break through walls. Like, we don't really have a lot of ways to stop him. So the cure is kind of like our thing. Like, sorry, it sucks, but I get it. I get it. Now, if Juggernaut had just been minding his own business and they came and shot him, I could see where Hank maybe had a point. Jean wakes up and she gets all sexy with Wolverine.
Yeah, this is... I know there's the whole, like, love triangle with Jean and Scott and Logan. I just really hated this. Because, like, first of all, like, Logan, like, it takes him a few minutes. Like, he almost gets to the point of taking off his pants.
Well, don't worry. She helps him. She telekinetically whips his belt off.
Yeah. Like, but he's like in between her legs, like on that table. And then he's just like, oh, wait. What about Scott? Like,
Yeah.
You killed Scott. Like, right? And it's just like, Logan, come on. She just woke up.
Logan, this is all you ever wanted.
You've learned she's like basically bipolar.
Yeah.
And she hasn't dealt with that yet.
Lucky.
She just killed her husband. Maybe. I don't know. Nobody seems to care. Nobody's gone.
Well,
to
no
look for
one
his
knows
body.
yet. No one knows yet. Well, like I said, they sent Channel Changer and Ink Man over.
And they have no way of communicating back. But yeah, this scene, like, I think when I was younger, I didn't care, but like now I'm just like, no, fuck you, dude. Like,
look,
you took care of somebody in a very vulnerable state.
Well, look, he's very animalistic. He has one of his struggles is keeping his animal side at bay. That's like when he starts fighting. Sometimes he gets out of control. He gets the berserker. It also works when he's horny. I'm sorry. This is how it is. And she's not really Jean. She is the Phoenix persona. So like that's like everything Jean is repressed, including her feelings for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of get it, but I do like that the real Jean like pops out. Like when everything's shaking, she's like, "Oh my God, Wolverine, you have to kill me. You need to kill me."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I can't do this." She's like, "You really need to kill me,
You need to take care of this now.
or I'm going to throw you against that wall and then strut out of here like it's nothing." And then she throws him against the wall and struts
destroy
out.
the whole
of there.
mansion. Yeah. Well, she doesn't destroy the whole mansion, but like we see her just.
Yeah, she
be
just
like,
destroys the door, and then she just walks away, and no one goes, "Hi, Jean."
Jean, you're back.
Hi. You're alive.
That's because they sent everyone. To
And
look
you're
for Scott.
wearing booty shorts. Good for you, girl. What are you doing? Hey, where's Scott? She's like, flying away.
Just incinerates everybody. The whole school. Real quick though, you brought this up in the last X-Men review.
Mm.
Wolverine's hair keeps changing in this movie.
I didn't notice it as much in this one.
I noticed it in this one.
Okay. I didn't. It was real noticeable in that one scene in X2, but I didn't notice it in this.
Yeah, in this one, like you'll notice sometimes his hair looks like kind of okay, and other times like it looks really bad. And there's one like it almost looks like he has hair plugs.
Was it changing like in between shots or scenes?
Scenes.
Okay, scenes. It's a little less of a.
I understand that's a little bit harder, but like I did pick up on that, and I was just like,
You just be like, oh, he's wearing his hair differently that day.
Yeah.
No, the problem in X2 is like literally it's normal hair and then it's giant wig and then back to normal hair. Like, what the fuck just happened in the last 10 seconds?
But anyway, sorry.
I'll have to, when I'm editing, I'll have to look at that, see if I can find it.
And then we go to Magneto's lair where
Yes.
he does his address. And also, I hate whoever did the set design for this because it looks like tinfoil.
Yeah,
it looks like tinfoil.
I get, they kind of wanted to look like his island layer in the previous film. Which, did they ever find that layer? He should have just went back there. And I get that he probably made it, and he's not the best with interior design. Well, he fired his girlfriend, so maybe she could have spiced things up. Like, Magneto, you got to put a plant in the corner.
Yeah, the last one, she had like one of those little.
Oh yeah, the little the kinetic devices, but he was doing it mentally, and it's like, how much energy are you wasting doing that shit? So yeah, he also in that first one, it's like, Magneto, put wheels on your chairs. I know you can move them with the metal, but that sounds really annoying. Put some fucking wheels on that. So yeah, he's talking about what they're gonna do, and then Callisto, got her name right. Yeah. She's like, there's another mutant. You got to check this guy out.
She's a level 5.
Level 5. Now they're classes.
Yeah.
Class 5.
She knows
mutant.
people's classes.
Yeah. They're like, what about Ink Boy? She's like, that's class negative 1,000. I don't give a fuck about him. He's the same as a human.
He barely registers to me.
Spider-Man is not a mutant, and he's higher ranking than that guy. I love we're just shitting. Or is it a girl? I don't even remember.
I think it's a girl.
I don't even remember. Honestly, I remember their hand, and I don't remember what they look like. Wolverine comes to his senses. He wakes up, and he's like, guys, nothing happened. She just woke up in a mood, and I think she killed Scott. And then someone goes, Wolverine, why is your belt over there? It's like... just kind of crazy, am I right?
And they all glossed over the Scott thing.
They're like, I think she killed Scott. And he's like, okay. all right, we better go. Like, no one's gonna like shed a tear or like be like,
no,
really?
This whole movie, nobody cares about Scott.
Xavier never once goes, let me use Cerebro to find Scott.
No.
He's like, nope.
Doesn't-
She's at her childhood house. Let's go. It's like, hey, should you use the Cerebro? Also, couldn't Xavier use Cerebro to amplify his power and focus on Jean and kill her, technically? If things were that dire?
I don't know, because...
See, this is what you need. You got to be like, hey, Cerebro is still damaged from when Stryker stripped it for parts. And they're like, oh, darn, we can't use Cerebro. Shit. Because it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up in this movie. Anyway.
Jean's at her childhood home.
By the way.
Makes sense.
I love that they're shocked that Magneto's there. Like, they're driving and Magneto enters the frame. They're like, huh. But then it cuts to, like, the wide shot. It's like, they were all standing there. Like, you had to have seen him before you parked the car.
They don't really match with the neighborhood.
Yeah. They're like a bunch of fucking leather daddies, and then this guy in a cape looking all flamboyant. It's like, you didn't see that when you were down the street driving.
Also,
like,
Charles didn't pick up on that. Like, the others are here, the Brotherhood. Like,
well,
no.
he can't read their minds because they have those helmets. Well, two of them. He doesn't know who Callisto or the other one is, so he didn't think to read their minds.
Yeah, but usually he can sense.
Yeah. But they're basically like, we're going to go in together, and we're going to try to, like, win her over to each other's side.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, let's go in. And then he goes right by Juggernaut, doesn't even acknowledge that that's his brother, just keeps on going. He just go, hey, what's up, bro? Hey.
Hey, haven't seen you in forever.
And he's just like, how's mom doing? And he's like, I don't know. She asked that, why do you never write? Yeah, just go right past each other. And then it's like a standoff between Wolverine and Storm and the Brotherhood, Omegas, whatever. I do like that he tells Juggernaut, it's like, things are going to get messy. You might want to put your helmet on. So they go in, and Jean is, for some reason, dressed like Scarlet Witch with the red outfit. So, okay. Because Phoenix is usually green and orange, and then Dark Pheonix was like red and gold. You couldn't get those kind of colors. And why the red dress? I don't get the red dress. Why does she look like Scarlet Witch? That's what really bothers. It looks like they're doing a version of Scarlet Witch, and I'm like, I don't like this. So yeah, they're trying to talk to her. She's not really being won over by either of them.
No, she doesn't like either of them.
No, and she starts like freaking out. And like Professor X is like, you gotta do this. And Magneto's like, he's gonna turn on you. Oh, and everything starts shaking. Then there's a fight scene. The fight scene's actually pretty well choreographed in this. There's some cool moments. I love when fucking they do a Texas switch, I think it is. I think this counts as a Texas switch, where like Juggernaut throws Wolverine into the ceiling and then he comes out the other side. I think it's like two different stuntmen. They have one stuntman go in the ceiling and then have the other one fall through the floor. And then he kicks him out the window. I thought that was cool. I like they actually let Storm like fly in this. She kind of hovers, but she does that spin with the lightning.
A little tornado kind of thing.
Yeah, that shit's really cool. Like, it's a really cool fight scene while there's like this struggle inside with them. And then Phoenix finally goes full Phoenix. And now I remember watching this going, oh wow, I remember in the previous film she had that orange glow around her. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do that, but she hasn't gone full Phoenix yet. And then she gets up and she just looks like a space alien, but not like an X-Men space alien. She looks like a gray alien. And then I'm like, where's the fire effect? And instead they just put like a lamp behind her to make her hair glow. Was that scary?
No.
Let's try it. Oh no, Monica, you're evil. Ah, your hair is being lit from behind. Ah. See, it'd be cooler if there were like flames everywhere, right? Like, what the fuck? Why did they fuck that up so bad?
We need Crystal to come back from hell.
She's staying down there. Look, we found out in It Follows, she's just not reading her Bible enough, and everything that happens is her fault.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she goes like full scary mode. She's got a lamp behind her, and she's like throwing everything at Charles. And then this was like a big moment in the theaters.
Yeah, I do remember this being like
Yeah,
a
there were
pivotal scene.
rumors that this was going to happen. I think like one of the teasers had Wolverine crying next to the chair, but no one knew for sure. This wasn't like Scott, where everyone was like, "Oh, that fucking guy's dead. He's so dead. Don't get invested in this." And they showed like posters with him in his X-Men suit. I'm like, he's not even going to put that suit on. He's dead. Yeah, like fucking Professor X dies, and to their credit, they really kill him. So
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, he's not making it out of it. He like incinerates.
Yeah, basically blows up into ash.
Yeah, she Thanos snaps
And then
him.
like you also have that like moment where Wolverine uses his claws
Yeah.
and climbs around the ceiling, and he gets the doors open, and he just in time to see like Charles looks at him, and they like have this moment.
Yeah. And I also like that slow motion of like everything going to drop, but then he's talking in regular mode. You're like, don't let it destroy you. And I like that Magneto
Is upset.
kind of breaks character. He's like, no, don't do that.
He's like, no, I need him.
But then she gets sad. I mean, Magneto did try to kill Professor X, but he wasn't there for it. He always wanted, remember the first one, he sends Mystique, you know, Professor X's loving sister, to poison Cerebro to scramble his brain. And then the second one, he leaves him behind at Cerebro too. But this time he has to see it, and you can tell he's like, oh, now it's different now that I'm here. I don't like this. I don't like seeing it.
No, I need him because I think he also always wanted Charles to be there, like to see the world change.
Yeah.
And now that like he's dead, he's just like, oh,
Yeah.
he was kind of my motivation a little bit there.
I
but-
wanted to prove to him that I was right all along.
So yeah, Magneto comes and like scoops up Jean,
Yeah.
and it's just like, come on, dear, there, girl.
Come
We're
on,
gonna-"
I got you. Let's go. I like that he goes, he wants to give you the cure. It's like, does she know what the cure is? I mean, I guess she could read their minds,
She
but
probably knows everything at this
it
point.
doesn't seem like she really cares about it that much. Yeah, and then everyone's sad. Everyone's crying. They have a funeral for him, and everyone needs to be consoled at the funeral. Rogue and Kitty Pryde and Bobby's there to hold both of their
Yeah.
hands. What a stud. What a Chad.
And also like his funeral scene was kind of disappointing because like there's not many people there, and he's pretty prolific.
Which, by the way, that funeral happened. The turnaround on that funeral is really quick.
Yeah.
There probably wasn't enough time. They built that.
I guess they didn't have enough time to announce to everybody to come to the funeral, but
Yeah, by the way, they built that statue. They get the big penny of his face.
okay, there's probably some mutant that they have that could just erect that for them.
Hey, a guy who's able to carve marble with his mind, not make marble.
It's your time to shine, buddy.
It's like, oh, this is my moment. And they're like, guy who can manipulate copper, make a giant penny of his face. He's like, yes. Do you remember what he looks like? Kind of. Like, all right, good enough. But yeah, they make the big thing, and they're all sad. Moira's there.
And we still don't have a funeral for Scott at this point. Like, 'cause nobody's
At this point, they're all on board that Scott died, and they did not do a funeral for Scott.
No.
Oh, Professor X and Scott. Oh.
Scott just has like the twigs as a cross.
It's like Evil Dead. You know he's Jewish, right? Oh, no, I didn't.
Damn it.
Scott was actually a Satanist. Oh, we'll just put it upside down. There we go.
That's an easy enough fix.
Is Scott not there? I know at the end I think he has a tombstone.
He does get a tombstone eventually. But like
They
at this
both did it
point
at the same time. They're like, you know, we'll still hold on. Look, we'll do Scott later.
the kids haven't come back yet, so we don't know.
Look, we'll call Havoc, and what's his other brother, Vulcan or something? Doesn't he have a third brother?
Oh, does he?
I know he
only
has Havoc. Yeah.
Hmm.
They're like, look, we gotta wait for Cable to show up. Cable's their son, or like just their descendant, right? Is Cable Scott and Jean's like actual son, or is that just like
I
down?
think he's a descendant.
Okay.
Then we get the scene of Iceman decides, you know, even though my girlfriend's sad, I'm going to go and cheer up Kitty instead.
Well, maybe he had just got done cheering up Rogue.
I don't think so.
No.
But he's like, hey, what's wrong? It's like, well, obviously Professor X is dead and we're all stuck inside this mansion.
And she's like, I miss my home. I miss the first snow because it never snows in upstate New York.
No, never.
Well, you just be like, I don't know, you can wait till winter. It's summertime now, lady. Like, you need snow
happen.
right now. Like,
Pretty sure it doesn't snow where you came from in the summer, but whatever.
She's like, I lived in Antarctica. Oh, I guess it did. I'm sorry about that, Kitty Pryde.
So then he takes her outside.
Yeah.
And he freezes the lake for her so they can go ice skating.
Yeah, and he makes ice skates.
They only ice skate for 10 seconds and then they get off the rink.
Yeah. Look, I don't know how good those ice skates are.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were like, no, this isn't as fun as I thought it'd be.
They do stumble and she falls into his arms.
Oh.
And of course, Rogue.
Well, he's got to catch her. What happens if she falls? It's not like she could safely go through solid objects.
Well, then she'd be under the ice.
And then she can come back out.
I guess
they show. I don't know how she makes herself come out of the ground.
I don't know either, but
her powers are very confusing to me. How does she make her clothes and other people also do that? Actually, that's one thing I want to say. During the Dark Pheonix saga, Kitty Pryde and Dazzler make their first appearances, but they're not really involved with the Dark Pheonix stuff. It's like. I guess it was part of like a bigger storyline that was happening where like the Hellfire Club is trying to recruit mutants the same time the X-Men are trying to recruit mutants, and Kitty Pryde was in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that makes sense to have her in this movie, but not really. But then Rogue's watching.
Yeah.
She's just like, now I know how Scott felt.
I understand his pain.
I have become the cucked now.
So this is kind of like her motivation to be like, fuck Storm. I'm going to go get that cure.
Yeah. And I like this sequence between her and Wolverine. I wish there were more sequences. Maybe cut out some Angel, which, by the way, I think Angel shows up in the next scene. They remembered he was in the movie.
Oh, yeah, I have a note about that, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that she's just like, she's like, you don't know what it's like. He's like, I kind of do. It's like, well, Wolverine, you don't really. Shut up. I know you hurt people close to you, but like she literally can't even like hang.
Well, I guess in his sense, he can't get too close to people because they'll eventually die, and he's just gonna keep living.
Yeah, but he gets to get laid a couple times
before
that. Although not with Jean, which is why it's weird that he's simping for Jean in all these movies. Like, you've made out with her twice. Like, thinking about the end of The Wolverine, where he finally has closure, I'm like, you made out with that girl twice. Shut up, dude. Get over it. Yeah. You hooked up with, like, a hot girl in that movie. You're like, oh, gee. You're like, shut up. Anyway. But I do like that. She's like, shouldn't he be telling me to say? He's like, no, it's your choice. Like, if you think it's right, like, don't do it for someone else.
Do it for you.
Make sure you're doing it for you.
The right reasons.
And then she's like, my name's Marie now. And he's like, sure, I don't care. He's like, I'll see you at the end of the movie. But actually, no, I don't think we share any more scenes. So bye. He's like, I'll see you in some cuts of Days of Future Past.
So, yeah, I do. There was one thing I read about like the movie is that we didn't get to it yet, but when Logan goes into the woods to get Jean, originally it was supposed to be Rogue that was at the Brotherhood camp.
Oh.
And he was supposed to go like
was
try
that
to find
shot?
her.
I remember some deleted scenes. I don't know if that was shot though.
I don't know if it was shot or not, but I know that was kind of the original plan. But because Anna Paquin was filming another movie, they kind of like cut some of her stuff out. And I was just like, okay, it would make more sense if he was like, hey.
What was she filming? That was so important. Let's find out.
Something in the Whale?
What's the Squid and the Whale? This is our Squid and the Whale review. Follows two young boys dealing with their parents' divorce in Brooklyn in the 1980s. Cool. Anyway, now we know. She was like...
Everyone's riveted.
We have one guy in there that was like, she should have been in the movie less and been in Squid and the Whale more.
Almost every female character in this movie has like a deep millennial side part. Like their hair, the side, like it's like here, like so far over. I don't want to fuck up my hair. But I was just like, damn. Like her hair is just like, whoo.
Yeah, wait, what happened with Storm's hair in this? It's now gray. It was white in the other films, and now it's just gray and spiky.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's got a real Karen haircut, I feel like, in this. So yeah, Magneto is able to get the Phoenix to side with him, even though she almost kills him with the cure. She's like, this really fake-looking gun, I'm going to make the fake-looking needles fly at you. A lot of the CG is not held up. I was watching it today. I'm like, ooh, like these, were they running out of money on this one? Like, I feel like
I told you, excessive.
Yes, I feel like even for 2006, little things like this should have looked fine. They look really bad. But yeah, he's able to win her over. Pyro doesn't like her.
I mean, kind of win her over.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, you think I give a shit about this? Like,
He's like, I just want you to be you, as long as you
help us.
take care with the people I don't like. But Pyro's like, I don't trust her. She was an X-Men. He's like, so are you? He's like, I would have killed the professor myself. And then Magneto's like, you shut the fuck up. And it's like, well, Magneto, you tried to kill him like several times. Like, yeah, but it's different, I think.
That's like Magneto and Charles have kind of like an enemies to lovers thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's why in like the prequel movies, when he's just like, I really love Moira. I was like, yeah, sure you do. Okay, Angel remembers he's in the movie. He shows up when they're like, should we just... Beast is ready to give up. It's like, well, that's not even...
I also love this because, like, they don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Besides... No, they don't know. I was going to say if he was on camera, but never. And I'm like, security is real lax at the mansion.
They're just able to walk in.
Because even, like, Logan is just like, okay, who are you?
Oh, hey. Logan should be like, I smell bird wings. Does someone have a dove around here? Yeah, no, that scene is so weird because I just like that Beast. They're like, what are we going to do with the school? And it's like, Beast doesn't go, well, we should probably read his like will. He probably has a last will and testament. Probably has like attorneys that know what to do. We should contact him. Beast is just like, time to shut it down. Send all those kids home. We all gave up. We lost. And then Angel comes in. It's like, hi. I have bird wings. And Storm's...
I heard this is a place, like a refuge, basically.
Yeah. And Storm's like, we're going to keep it open. And Beast is like, yeah, that works too. It's like, wow, Beast, what the fuck?
All right, fine.
So yeah, Colossus gets his one line of dialogue. Pete, have you seen Rogue?
Yeah, she took off.
This is the only line of dialogue in the movie, I think. I don't think he says anything else.
I don't think so.
Yeah. That's literally it. And at the end of the movie, when they do that thing where they're going to the battle and they zoom up on him and they zoom up on Colossus, and it's like, I don't even know his suit. If I didn't know the comics, I'd be like, does he even have a superhero name? What the fuck is he? And why doesn't he have a Russian accent? Very annoying.
Yeah.
Jean calls Wolverine psychically.
Yeah, she loves doing that.
Yeah, big fan of that. And he goes to find her. And at the same time, Bobby is looking for Rogue. She's in line to get the cure. And then Pyro blows up the facility. And then because we were kind of deep into the war on terror at this point, we have a scene where Magneto is basically doing like a terrorist thing. It's like, you will not be safe. We will destroy everything. I think it was in this magazine. I think I read somewhere that like he wanted to have like a beard at one point, and they were like, let's tone this back. Let's tone this back, Ian McKellen. Let's we're good. I think we got it. We don't need the beard to really sell this. The president sends soldiers to Alcatraz Island. He's like, all right, they want war. We got to arm that place. And then Arlie Ermy shows up for a voice cameo as the guy from Full Metal Jacket, the drill instructor.
I've never seen that movie.
You've seen Arlie Ermy. You know his voice. The Texas Chainsaw remake and prequel. He's like the main bad guy in that one.
Okay.
He talks like this. He's the military drill sergeant. Okay. Yeah, I remember being in the theater like, oh, it's Arlie Ermy. And they never cut to him. I'm like, oh, he probably just popped in a sound booth for a day.
Pick up your cure cartridge. Absolutely no metal.
They're all ready with cure weapons. They're going to go at it. Wolverine, he shows up in the woods of, I believe, upstate New York.
Yeah, we don't really know where they're camped out.
We don't know. He takes out a bunch of mutants. They sent their best mutants. They sent, I don't know what his power is, but he has a shotgun, and the other guy has a bat. And then the other guy makes bone marrow come out of his hand, and then he breaks up the marrow.
Is that Spike?
I don't know.
Okay.
And he shoots bone spikes out of his hand and throws them.
And so he does this. He hits Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Wolverine like has the 2 holes here. He rips. This doesn't look good on camera.
You're like, ah.
He rips out the horns out of his stomach. Gonna get my hands down here. And at first, like, you see Logan's stomach is healing, and he's got the holes in his shirt.
Yeah.
And then in a couple of scenes later, when he's fighting Magneto, his tank is in one piece.
What I think happened? We need a Wolverine scene. Wolverine hasn't fought anyone in a while. Add another Wolverine scene. And then the continuity person was like, and they're like, shut up. But I don't like that they do the thing where they stab each other. It's like, which one won? It's like, well, I know Wolverine can survive this.
Yeah, he can heal.
I don't think Bone Marrow guy is going to survive this, but I like that. That must have been a reshoot. They're like, we could do one cool mutant. The other ones just have a shotgun and a baseball bat. You know who was doing security at the mansion? The guy who could walk on water.
That makes sense. He let
They're
anybody
like,
in.
They're like, what are you gonna do? It's like, well, if he escapes on water, I can run after him. They're like, yeah, but Angel can fly. And I'm like, well, I can't do shit. Just let him in. Fuck it. I don't care.
Guys, we should make a moat.
So yeah, Wolverine kind of blends in with the crowd. Magneto does his rally to the mutants. He's like, we will take them and we have our weapon. It's like, hey, weren't you trying to treat her like an equal? Now you're calling her a weapon to her face? That's probably going to bite you in the ass. But she sees Wolverine and she like walks away. Wolverine tries to talk to Phoenix. He's like, Jean, you're still in there. And then Magneto's like, you didn't think I knew you were here? I do love this scene that like Wolverine's like, Magneto's like, this is nothing. Goodbye. He like throws him away. His face gets pretty fucked up too. He hits like every branch on the way down to that tree. I think they sent the military at this point. Mystique lets the government know where the camp is.
Yeah.
But then they just left multiple man behind to trick them. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Because really, they made it to California. And Juggernaut's like, how are we going to get to Alcatraz? Because I can't swim. And I'm watching this going, how the fuck did all of you get to California so fast? I know there's some teleporters in the crowd, but I don't think they can teleport that many people at once. How did they get there?
I mean, maybe Magneto put them all on like a
big disc.
Yeah, like flew them across the country. I don't know.
Got one of those big satellite dishes. Like, everyone get on the satellite dish. Woo! Like, wow, he said woo for the 5 hours it took to fly across the country.
And then, I mean, we see Mystique give up all that information, and then we never see her again.
No, that's it.
That's the last you see of Mystique in this movie.
We see Rebecca Remain one more time.
Oh, we do?
In X-Men First Class, where she wants to sleep with Eric, and he's like, maybe when you're older, she turns into Rebecca Remain.
Oh, well, not in this movie, though.
Yeah, but yeah, you talk this, as far as we're concerned, the Rebecca Remain, besides that cameo, this is the end of the Rebecca Remain Mystique. For a character who was so big in the first two, it's like, oh, that was it? Oh, that sucks.
And, like, we don't even get to see her have, like, a moment that, like...
There's no good if she, died or something.
At the end, after credits, to be like, oh, well, she's actually maybe going to get her powers back.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been good, because you would have seen, like, her get excited about that, but...
Yeah, she's like, I'm really going to give that fucking asshole a piece of my mind.
Go after him now.
Yeah, so they're going to figure out how they're going to get to Alcatraz. And again, there's some, like, teleporters in there that are like, I just teleport. And Magneto's like, nah, I got a cooler idea. Got a way cooler idea. Angel is listening in on Wolverine's conversation, and I guess he's like, well, I better fly all the way back to California now.
God, it took me so long to come over here.
Yeah, I just got here, and I gotta fly all the way back.
Oh, boy, my wings are tired.
You should have said that. I just got here from California. Boy, are my wings tired. And they're like, what's up with the dad joke? He's like, no, I literally have wings.
Would have made his character much more enjoyable.
I like the part where Angel in this movie does this face. It's like every scene.
Foster's really good at that face.
At least in Punisher, he got to dance a little bit before they beat the hell out of him. So yeah, Beast gets into his suit that doesn't fit him anymore. He's like, I can't believe this used to fit me.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing before he was Blue Beast, he was big, burly humanoid beast, even though that's not what he looks like in X-Men 2. I don't know. Anyway, they're like, wow, we got to get ready for battle. This is
All 5 of us.
all 5 of us. And at one point, you should really look at Kitty Pryde and be like, well, I don't know how good you're going to do fighting, but I guess stand back. If they have a locked door, you will come in handy. But maybe when it comes to fist fighting, you're going to want to stay back. I'm sure handwriting person was like, I will help you. They're like, literally, you will be a burden. Please stay behind. Do you think the blinking TV guy?
Yeah, I don't think he was there.
What about the mutant from the second one? He just had like a lizard tongue.
He is in the movie.
He is?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that. But do you think he was like, I will help you? They're like, it's not, you don't even have like Toad's lizard tongue. Like you don't,
You
your
just
tongue,
look like a circus freak.
yeah, your tongue is just black and forked. That's like, you really shouldn't even be here. Get out of here. Like, I know we're all equal, but we're not. You're like pretty lame. Get the fuck out of here.
I know we preach that, but
Some mutants are better than others. I'm sorry. We got the weather girl, the ice guy. You have a weird tongue. Go home. So yeah, Magneto stops all traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge. And this, I'm sure it happened in years before this, but after this movie, I feel like the Golden Gate Bridge was getting destroyed or fucked with in major blockbusters like every other year.
Yeah.
It almost got destroyed in Star Trek, but then it didn't. I remember Star Trek 09 when that big thing falls and it falls next to the Golden Gate Bridge. I remember sitting there going like, wow, they didn't do it. Like, I could have swore they were going to destroy that thing. But then you got San Andreas, Godzilla, Pacific Rim. Fucking things getting blown up all the time. Yeah, he like stops all the traffic and he like lifts up the bridge.
Yeah. He breaks it apart, basically.
Yeah. And like he has the one line. He's like, Charles always wanted to build bridges. And I'm just like, well, you didn't really build that bridge. You moved it. But I get it. I get what you're saying. If I was there, I would have been like, couldn't we have just gotten on boats? I feel like this is a big target for us. We live in America. Some of these people have guns and we all don't have magnet powers. Some of us could have got shot here, you asshole. So yeah, they land on Alcatraz Island, and they're ready to fight. And he sends out the pawns. One of them is a teleporter. I'm like, I feel like that guy's valuable. Maybe don't send him with the expendable squad.
No.
Or the lizard guy. But a bunch of these mutants, they all have the same power. It's being able to jump with wires, but not be able to see the wires.
Okay.
There were like 6 dudes that are clearly on wires. I was just like, wow, they're like, every mutant is unique. I can jump really high. And like, the 5 other people are like, oh, so can I. Like, oh. Okay, well, to put the jumpers in the first wave. We're definitely not wasting our good guys here. Also, if I heard Magneto going in chest, the pawns go first. If I was like next in line, I'm like, oh shit, there's like 5 waves behind. I would like immediately start like backing up. He said switch. He said
Didn't you hear him?
What's that? In the back? You need me? Oh yeah, I'll be back. All right, so Magneto realizes they have plastic weapons. And he's like, Arclight, I somehow know your power. Use your...
I guess he learned at this point. They spent a lot of time together.
It's like, use your power. Clap your hands. Get rid of them. And
Everybody, clap your hands.
And then the X-Men are showing up in their X-Jet, and then Beast does his All My Stars and Garters line.
They make all the X-Men have dramatic entrances.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, they do.
They all like, have
Beast,
a moment.
Beast is like digitally green screened and wire worked at the same time. Like they digitally shrunk him and made him big. Of course, Storm is like lightning. Bobby doesn't have a cool one. He's just holding on to Kitty. She like goes through the ground and lifts him back up. And then Wolverine had to do his. I don't like his little jump off the mountain, like off the top of the building. He's like, oh. I don't like that. I like the whole coming down, like but the whole woo. Also, I don't know why I just remember this. Remember they made a series of posters for this movie that looked like the posters from Rent. Do you remember that?
No.
I'm gonna show images of that. I don't know why that just popped in my head. There were like weird X-Men The Last Stand posters that were all colorful. And they looked like the Rent posters. It was very bizarre. So yeah, Wolverine does his little prance off the building, and they get ready to hold the line. They're like, hold the line. We got to stop them. Everyone fights. Beast is awesome. I love that he takes out those guys. He swings on that pole and like spins around, knocking them all out. That shit is cool.
Using his gymnastic powers.
Yes. Okay. Look, I like a little bit of comedy, but when the Juggernaut is running through people and suddenly there's bowling pin sound effects, I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, now I know what you're doing. It's a little on the nose. It's really on the
we
nose.
Don't need the sounds.
Not in this movie. It just feels weird for this movie. Deadpool, I'd buy it. This movie, it's just very out of place. And then we meet possibly the most memorable mutant ever. The guy who can grow his arms back, but not his balls.
Oh, Starfish.
He had a name?
Yeah.
Oh, I made a joke.
I looked up I tried to look up because I was trying to find our transcriber mutant. So I made a list of like all the ones that people said were in this movie.
So I told Monica I was researching the characters, although that was a waste of time because this movie has nothing to do with either of the Dark Pheonix stories that I looked into. X-Men Evolution never got to do Dark Pheonix. They canceled it before they were able to. So she's like, oh, you're going to know all the characters. I'm like, well, I don't know if guy who can grow arms but not his balls. And Monica was like, what are you talking? I had to send her the clip. She's like, I forgot about this. I'm like, how do you forget about this scene?
I'm gonna be honest, like towards the end of this movie I was kind of like zoning out and I did miss while they were fighting, but I saw like the moment where Logan goes like, grow that back.
Oh yeah, he goes, grow those back. So it's a guy. I wonder if he actually was like an amputee because his arms are super digital. Like they look like weird rubbery cartoons. So he's able to cut him and he grows them back. So he's got a healing factor like Wolverine, kind of. It actually works a lot faster than Wolverine's.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on. But then Wolverine kicks him in the balls and he goes, grow them back. And it's like, well, what's to say he can't grow them back? He can grow everything else back. Also, how do you find out you have that power?
I guess he chopped something off at one point by accident.
So realistically, he could have went his entire life and at like the age of 93, cut his arm off and be like, I had this whole time. All those years I was protecting my limbs. I could have just grown them back. I could have made millions as like a dummy for accidents, or anything. Hey, test out the damage that this does on limbs. That's a lot of damage, but it's okay. I can grow back. Yeah, everyone was waiting for that showdown. Like they were like, when his Starfish is really his name.
It's Starfish.
Because Starfish can grow their limbs back, I guess. Not that fast.
Well, no, but at a certain point, you run out of names for the mutants.
Yeah. So, Juggernaut is going to kill Leech.
Yeah.
Fucking Magneto, not even trying to recruit Leech. To be like, I will use this boy to suppress the powers of my enemies. He's like, kill that fucking
he wants
kid.
everyone to embrace their powers.
Yeah, except for Leech, apparently.
No, fuck Leech.
Not even like, let's free Leech so they can't use the cure. We're like, no, we will kill him so they can never do this again.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's a lot of mutants that have the same powers. There's probably other Leeches out there.
I feel like some mutants should have some empathy of being like, we're going to kill a kid?
I mean, even Batman Returns, that one clown is like, Penguin, we shouldn't kill sleeping children. And then Juggernaut's like, with pleasure. I'm like, how many kids are you killing, Juggernaut?
Probably a lot. And then Kitty is the one who's like, I'll go after him.
I'll go after him. It's like, but you're not I know you go through walls, but you're still not as fast as him. So she runs.
Tiny.
Yeah, she's very tiny. But she grabs him. She makes him go through the floor. Okay. There was a very popular viral video at the time where someone dubbed over all the Juggernaut's lines and from clips of the cartoon is like, don't you know I'm Juggernaut, bitch.
Get off me, bitch. Who the fuck are you? What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm a Juggernaut, bitch.
I got my pimp cane, Charles. It was very, very funny. It was very popular as they were making this. So I think they came up with this like during production. They're like, we gotta, this is such a viral thing. It was the earliest thing I can remember where a movie, like the internet influenced a movie.
Okay.
Around the same time, Snakes on a Plane. That's another one where they did reshoots to match up with the memes that were going on.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. In Snakes on a Plane, when he goes, I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes, that wasn't in the movie. That meme got so popular that they were like, go back, add that line to the movie right now. But the problem is, it's not funny in this because he's got like a weird Australian accent. It's just not the same.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
It's not as fun.
That's what
like,
ruined it.
Oh, Charles, my pimp
You're
can.
gonna lose your Australian audience.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Like, that's funny, but then he's like, oh, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. And I'm like, no, this was funnier on paper. This would have been a fun deleted scene on the DVD, not in the actual movie. Then he breaks out of the ground.
Which also, how is he able to do that? Because isn't he only strong when he gains momentum?
I guess he's also really strong and the momentum thing.
Okay.
No. The Omegas take Worthington Senior.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I got that. Yeah. They're like, you're the fucking whatever. We're gonna take you upstairs, and then Science Lady's like, no, don't hurt him. And then Kid Omega kills her with his quills.
Yeah.
Why is he such a high-ranking member of the mutants? I'm like, your power is kind of lame, dude. You're like a porcupine, I guess.
I guess because he was already besties with Callisto, and
He was also, I think he was tight with Brett Ratner because he was the bad guy in Rush Hour 1.
Oh, okay.
So I think he's just like, can you put me in the movie? He's like, yeah, sure, get in there. Kitty Pryde finally meets up with Leech, but she can't get out because her powers are being suppressed. He's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then the Juggernaut comes in, does a one-liner. It's like too many one-liners. She calls him a dickhead, which is funny because his helmet does kind of look phallic. It didn't in the comics or anything else, but this version does kind of look phallic. But yeah, he like runs, but since he doesn't have his power, he knocks himself out. And he's dead, I guess. He knocked himself out, and now his head's gonna swell, and his helmet is made out of solid metal, so his brain will just collapse in on itself, and he will die forever.
Oopsie.
That's why like some superhero stuff isn't realistic. Like Batman getting punched in his head so many times. It's like, well, his brain is going to swell up and you got to take that helmet off. Anyway, I ruined Batman for you. Sorry. So they go to throw Worthington off the roof, and then Angel shows up.
To save his daddy.
Awkwardly save his dad, and then they hug each other and fly away. And Angel's like, I'm not really invested in this fight. I just came to save my dad. Bye.
Everyone else can fight. It's fine.
I hope those, what are they? The F-men? I hope they make it out of there. Storm kills Callisto. They duke it out for a bit. They have a kind of a fun fight. And actually, it was fun watching that episode where like Storm becomes the leader of the Morlocks. But that one has a happy ending where she's like, I'm technically the leader, but I respect Callisto and she will follow you. And this one, she's like, lightning. She like force powers her. And I do like that her little lip piercing, her chin piercing is like burning up. Like, that's a nice little reference, or little detail. Magneto's had enough of this, so he starts launching cars. Pyro's turning them into bombs. Then all the heroes look at the needles, and they're like, we know what we have to do. We don't feel right about it. But then Bobby and Iceman fight. Or no, Bobby is Iceman. Bobby has an internal struggle with himself. Bobby and Pyro, whose real name I forgot. What other movie was that actor in?
I feel like his name was Johnny or something.
I think it was Johnny. I think you're right. What other movie was that actor in? The Hills Have Eyes remake.
Yeah. I remember him from the 12 Monkeys show.
I didn't watch that one.
That was a good show.
I want to rewatch the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. When I reviewed Hills Have Eyes, both Crystal and Kaylee had no idea that was Pyro. I assumed they would know. I'm like, and he's in, and they just stared at me, and I'm like, oh, he's Pyro. Okay, never mind. This should have been a Monica episode.
Why was I there? Did we see
No,
blah, blah, blah?
No, I did not. I think I know who you saw it with, but I did not see it with you guys. I saw it on video afterwards. That's what I missed in the theater.
Just to be clear, it's one of his ex-girlfriends.
The fuck? She doesn't watch my show, does she?
No, she does not watch your show.
You know, I think most of them don't watch my show.
Well, one of them comes on your show.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. I guess one of them is on the show.
So Pyro and Iceman were fighting.
They're fighting, and they do the fire and the ice. And I remember seeing it in the trailer, going like, "Can't wait to see the rest of that fight." And that's it.
Yeah.
But Iceman turns into ice, and that's what I mean by feels more comic booky. I feel like Bryan Singer eventually has him do that in the next movie, but that's because it happened in this one. I don't think Bryan Singer ever intended to have him go full ice form. So it was nice seeing that. Although I don't get how he's like translucent. You can kind of see through him. It's like, well, I just always thought he put ice over his body. I didn't know his body actually turned to ice. I feel like that's a different power, and it makes me upset. We're going to keep going. He wins the fight. They bait Magneto with Wolverine. Mm-hmm. There's a continuity error here. Because Wolverine lands one way. Because they do the fastball special.
We pointed out other continuity errors, but okay.
They do the fastball special, and of course Magneto's like, what the fuck are you doing? Get down. But if you notice, he lands one way, but then when it cuts, he's facing Magneto. There was a deleted scene where Magneto tortured him for a little bit and was like spinning him around and shit. But that was just bait, because then Beast comes up and stabs Magneto with the cure. And I remember going like, oh no! And then he was just like, you've made me what I hate. And then he looks at Phoenix
Homo
and goes,
sapien.
Oh no! He goes to Phoenix. He's like, this is what they want for all of us.
And she still doesn't give a shit.
She's just like, that sucks for you, buddy. But then they were like, Wolverine kind of makes some kind of connection with her. He's like, Jean, please stop this. And you see a little bit of her coming out, and then the military shows up and they try to shoot her. And then she goes full Phoenix mode. Ah! They put the lamp behind her again. Ah! You know what would have been cooler? If like fire or orange energy came out. You know, orange energy.
They should have just had Pyro stand behind her and been like...
If she took Pyro's fire power and used it.
He just had the devices, so maybe she could take those. I don't know.
She doesn't look like the Phoenix. It feels like a demonic possession movie. It doesn't really.
Yeah, because.
And I get kind of the Phoenix, but like it's just weird they didn't use any of that imagery. It's bizarre, especially since they hinted at it so much in the previous film with all the fire shit. So yeah, the Phoenix, she's killing everyone. She kills all the Omegas. They like walk out of the building. They're like, ah! Thanos snapping.
Them.
She Thanos snaps everyone, and since she's dramatic, she makes a wall of water for no reason. And Wolverine's like, I'm the only one that can stop her. And someone should go, well, what if we like get Leech really close to her? Is she strong enough to can she counter his power? Is she that strong? Should we try it? Let's move Leech pretty close. Who's a faster teleporter?
If only we had an Angel to drop him in.
Angel!
If he was carrying Leech, then he would lose his ability to fly.
Yeah, you're right. Angel, hold on to this rope. Leech, hold on to the other side of this rope. I'm going to drop you in. So Wolverine's like, I'm the only one who can do it because I'm the most popular character and I sell the most merch. So he goes up there and Phoenix is giving everything toward him. She's like, I'm going to use all my powers.
Yeah.
But his healing factor, which is working better than it's ever worked before.
It's Starfish ability.
Yes, he absorbs Starfish's ability. It's able to protect him and his pants and only his pants. Nothing else, just his skin and his pants. Everything else is burning
She doesn't care
off.
about his pants anymore.
I didn't think that's funny. It's like, oh, she's burning all my clothes. Look how ripped I am, but my pants are staying on because it's PG-13. But he gets up and she's like, you'll die for them? He's like, no, but I die for you. And I'm like, well, that's the opposite of Star Trek's, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And she's like, oh, he's simping so much. And she's like, oh, Wolverine, please kill me. And then he does it.
And I feel like it should take more than his claws to kill her.
I love you.
Like, she's a powerful mutant.
I feel like when she was Jean, she was like suppressing the Phoenix enough and allowing herself to die. Again, it made more sense in the comic where she was like purposely making them drain her power. Which, by the way, in the comic, the bad thing Jean does in this is kill Professor Xavier and Scott. The bad thing she does in the comic is she goes to a different solar system, and she goes, "Ugh, I'm so tired. I'm going to eat this star, and billions of people on that planet are going to die." Like, that's the bad thing. And that's kind of the problem in the comic. She's like, look, I know I wasn't in control and it technically wasn't my fault, but I can't live with the guilt. I need to die. In this, not so much. That's not really that big of a deal. Also in the comic, Wolverine, there's a lot of hesitation. Like, even Storm's like, are you going to be prepared to do what you need to do? And in the comic, Wolverine doesn't know about the star yet. All he knows is Dark Pheonix messed up their jet and was mean to them. And Wolverine's like, I gotta kill her. Let's whip these blades out. He's like, time to die. And then there is a moment where she's like, hey, what's up, Wolverine's like, oh, yeah, that's my friend. But like, he was ready to kill her right before that.
Yep, doesn't care.
Like, in the comic, he kind of has to remind the audience, like, I did like her at one point. That's it. In the movie, he's like, I'm so in love. But yeah, he kills her, and it's sad. And I didn't realize that CGI crane shot, everything around them looks so fake. It never used to look that fake to me. I guess
well, that looked good at the time.
I guess it did. I guess it's the first time I'm watching it on a big screen TV, so I'm just noticing it more. I'm like, oof, that didn't used to stick out as much as it used to. But yeah, they're all sad, and then Rogue comes back, mutant free. But there was a deleted scene where she's like, this is who I am. And it's like, I don't think anyone believed that. They're like, no, you wouldn't want to get rid of your power. If they had something where it's like, I was working with the professor and for a moment I was able to control it, maybe there'd be something. She's like, no, I have no way of controlling this. I'm turning it off.
So yeah, so she comes back when they're all at the mansion, kind of dealing with everything. She comes back and like Bobby's like, oh, Rogue, you're back. She's like, yeah. And she like goes and she like just holds his hand.
Yeah.
And I read basically they filmed 2 different scenes where it was just the hand holding or the kiss.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, the audience and like all the women we surveyed for this were like, no, the hand holding's the better option because it's like less sexual.
Yeah. We've seen them kiss before in the previous one. So whatever. But also Bobby should be like, that's really great. Get out of here, you human.
I don't like you anymore. You can't live here because you're a human. So.
Also, he should just be like, there should be a scene where she's like, I'll see you later. And then he walks out and he's just like, oh my God, I just asked Kitty Pryde to be my girlfriend. She said, yes, what am I going to do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Oh, no.
And polyamory wasn't as big of a thing back then, so he couldn't even use that.
And then we also get the funeral scene.
Yes.
Where we finally acknowledge that Scott has died.
And Jean, right? Did they make one for Jean?
Yeah, they made one for Jean, and they're like together because they were a married couple.
Yeah. She didn't take his last name.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I was
going to say, I haven't changed my last name yet either.
Whoa! What? Oh.
It's annoying.
Nah, I can probably get that. I get that. Johanna didn't change hers either.
It's an annoying process, so I'll get to it eventually. So. But yeah, so we acknowledge Scott is dead, but no one cares still.
Yeah. No, there's really no moment of mourning for Scott.
No one says any words. Like,
TV mutant is still in Canada, just being like, hello? I still haven't found Scott. Oh, he died. We figured it out. Oh, okay.
Are you going to pick me up? No.
No, you can stay there. You're good, buddy. And also, what's his face? Beast is on the UN Council now for mutants. Angels flying around San Francisco. They're rebuilding the bridge, and everyone has a happy ending except for Magneto, who's playing chess by himself. And then he tries to move the piece, and then it wiggles a little bit, directed by Brett Ratner. Oh, wow. Even though it was The Last Stand, they were sequel baiting. But that's not actually the end.
No, we get one of those extra credit scenes.
Post-credit sequences, pre-MCU. They were not as common back then. Where the comatose man happens to be, I guess Charles Xavier had a identical twin brother who was brain dead.
P. Xavier.
And he wakes up and goes, Moira. And she's like, Charles?
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, how convenient that my identical twin brother who's never walked has atrophy, so I will have an excuse to be in a wheelchair in the next film because this body doesn't know how to use legs. Yeah, so I guess the cure is temporary.
Yeah,
Which means, Bobby, you better be safe, because if you raw dog it, Rogue is taking you out, buddy. That was a theory people were talking about in the next film. Like, what if they're like doing it and like Bobby's like, ah?
I think he would notice pretty fast. Well, I don't know. Maybe he would just be like, "This is amazing. Wait. This isn't supposed to happen."
Anyway, yeah, and that was, for a while, that was the end of the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a weak note to go out on. Not all
Yeah.
was lost, though. It didn't feel like they fucked everything up, but it was definitely, it was weak. It was weak. There are still really good moments in this. The action is pretty good. Again, that house fight is awesome. Some of the mutants like Storm get a little bit more to do. Beast is really, really good. And it's a real mixed bag. It would have been nice if Bryan Singer came back and just finished it.
Yeah.
Then again, Sam Raimi was able to finish his trilogy, and that also kind of ended on a meh note. Only Nolan
Yeah,
got.
but that was also like very studio
Yeah.
involvement of like at a certain point you're just like, fuck it, this is
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
The only one who got it right was Christopher Nolan with The Dark Knight Rises. He knew, he's like, I know what's going to sell this movie, and
Tony.
that's that stadium scene, and I know just the guy to sell that stadium scene. I'm sure that's what went into it.
Yeah.
What? That's still the best third superhero movie. All right, I'm not taking any exceptions to that. Iron Man 3 is okay. I know people shit on that, but that one's okay.
I do. So I'm sorry. I've been looking at this cover.
Yeah.
And like they fucking put Angel on the cover, but they weren't
With
like,
the X-Men suit.
Like yeah, with the X-Men suit. But it's like, why not put Beast in the front? He had more to do in this movie.
Oh, Beast isn't even on that cover.
He's on the back.
Oh, he's on the back, yeah.
Which yeah, they had like Scott put in the back too. At least he got on there.
Wait, let me see that. Hold on. Ugh.
Like Mystique's in the front, and she's barely in the movie.
Yeah, no, you want to put Beast. You get rid of Angel, put Beast.
Yeah.
That's stupid. If you're gonna put a new, oh yeah, because Angel's the only new guy on the cover. Everyone else is in the previous films. Either put Rogue or someone there, or put Beast. What the hell? That's so stupid.
Yeah.
This is from the special edition. It came with a little comic where Stan Lee meets Magneto
Oh.
and Professor Xavier. What else is in there? Oh, and it's got some old comics in it.
You didn't read this one beforehand?
This one I forgot I had it until I was like going to my whatchamacallit. There's like an Avengers comic where they meet the X-Men. And then there he is, the end. It's a little Stanley. Yeah. A letdown, but not the end of the world.
No.
I remember being like, oh, this is definitely going to be the worst X-Men movie. And then X-Men Origins Wolverine came out, and I went, oh. But I remember walking out, and I'll probably repeat this in the Wolverine episode I have planned. I remember walking out of X-Men Origins going, I think we all owe Brett Ratner an apology. This was really bad. Yeah. But overall, not the worst thing. It's still not the worst X-Men. They made worse X-Men movies after this.
Surprisingly.
I did like when Apocalypse made fun of this movie, but then Apocalypse was also a bad third entry. And it's like, they're like, the third one's the worst. I'm like, yeah, this one I'm currently watching is definitely not as good as the previous two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it. I'm glad we finally finished the trilogy part, but we have many more X-Men movies to go. Are you excited for Deadpool 3?
I haven't watched the trailer, so I can't comment on that.
Is he going to save the MCU?
Probably not.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch Deadpool, but I still don't want to watch a lot of new MCU stuff. So
I'm also like really nervous. Is this going to be like excessive? Like this one where he's going to put in so many cameos that you're just like,
I'll accept it if they're making, because that is kind of getting annoying with multiverse shit, just being cameos. But if that's like a joke about it, I think it'd be kind of funny.
Like I feel like the last Spider-Man movie kind of did it well.
Yeah. I do have some issues with that movie upon rewatching. Like some of the plot doesn't really make a lot of sense, but yeah. COVID movie, you kind of give them a pass for COVID movies. But yeah, then you have something like The Flash, where at the end it's like a weird CGI cameo fest. God. And then Michael Keaton's there. It's like, wow, Michael Keaton, and I get to see him inside scenes of a Superman movie I hate. Awesome. I when I was watching Man of Steel and went, this movie sucks, I never thought, I hope my childhood Batman ends up in this movie. Yeah, so I'm excited for Deadpool 3. I like the first 2 Deadpools. I will tell when I do a Deadpool episode, I will share my experience of why I hated the first one the first time I saw it. It was the theater. It was not the movie. Okay. Yeah, and I'm excited to talk more about these. I think next I'm planning on doing like a Wolverine episode where we just knock out his trilogy.
Like all the movies in one episode?
Yeah, Origins, The Wolverine, and Logan.
Okay.
And I got something special planned for that one. And then we should come back for the prequel stuff. That's gonna be fun. I'll bring you back for Days of Future Past, but not the road cut. I'll bring you back for the road cut, which I think I've only watched once, to be honest. So
I don't think I've watched the road cut.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Traitor.
it's just like, I was like, do I really want to watch this movie again?
Hey, that's a good one. Days of Future Past is really good.
Okay.
What? It's pretty good.
Okay.
It could have been better, sure, but it was still, out of all the movies, it's probably the 3rd best one still. Not counting spin-offs like Logan and shit. Anyway, that is it from us. Monica, where can we find you? Or did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I mean, basically only on Instagram as Story in the End.
Oh, okay.
I got rid of the Twitter account, or X.
Yeah, I actually think the last episode I had your Twitter in the little opening graphic. I'll fix that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and actually, go back and check out our Hellraiser series on Patreon or wherever. No, not wherever you get your podcast. That was the wrong plug. On Patreon, or if you're a channel member. And if you don't want to commit to being a patron, you could just buy the entire season of Bloodline, just outright.
Yeah,
One-time
awesome.
purchase. But it's cheaper to just do a $2 a month pledge, and you get all the bonus episodes ever. But if you're just like, I really want to know what these 2 assholes have to say about every Hellraiser movie.
Not an asshole, but thank you.
Which, by the way, I'm also sure by the time this is out, I uploaded my bonus video where I reviewed the Hellraiser box set that just came out. I will show you when we're done recording.
Okay.
It's right behind you. But yeah, that is it from us. Let me know what you think of X-Men The Last Stand, and check out our other X-Men episodes. And well, not directly behind you. It's on the box set. Well, that is it from us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.